Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the general way or the most general way in which Power BI is used to create reports and dashboards, or you can say the general way in which Power BI is used to get useful insights or useful information from the data. But before beginning with our discussion about the workflow, let's talk about the basic elements of Power BI. So Power BI basically consists of three elements. It has five elements, but these are the three basic elements that you should know. The very first being Power BI Desktop. Second one is Power BI Service. And third one is Power BI mobile applications. Power BI mobile applications are available for all sorts of devices. You can see on the screen the names are written and the names of all these three elements are actually written. Now let's talk about the workflow or the general way in which Power BI is used to create reports and dashboards. So in the very first step, you will have to collect the data from the data source. You need to gather the data and you need to bring it to Power BI desktop app, right? So in the very first step, there can be multiple data sources, or in fact, there can be a single data source as well from which you are pulling the data or you are collecting the data. Once you've gathered the data and brought it to Power BI desktop app, in the second step, you now need to clean the data. You now need to clean, prepare, and structure the data, because it is not necessary that the data that you have gathered or obtained is in a form where you can directly use it for reporting. So now you need to clean the data. And for this purpose, we have something called Power Query Editor, which is available in Power BI desktop app itself. And Power Query Editor is nothing but the heart of Power BI, because here you can perform all sorts of transformations on the data, right from renaming the columns to deleting the columns to deleting the records to replacing values to replacing null values to merging to performing merging operations or to append various queries. So you can perform all sorts of data transformations here. That's why we say that it is the heart of Power BI. Once you've cleaned, structured, and prepared the data, you now need to create a data model in the model view in Power BI desktop, right? So a data model or data modeling, when we talk about data modeling, it actually refers to nothing but establishing relationship between different tables that form your data set, because your data set may be consisting of single table or it may consist of multiple tables as well. So the case where it consists of multiple tables, you need to establish relationships between these tables. So that's the thing that we do when we talk about data modeling, right? And or that simply refers to creating a data model. Once you have cleaned, prepared, and structured the data and you have created a perfect data model, now you can go for creating reports. And when it comes to creating reports, in this step or in the fourth step, you just simply need to create charts or visuals on the canvas, and these charts or visuals will only be representing the insights or information that you have obtained from the clean, prepared, and structured data. So that's the thing, right? So this refers to creating reports, right, wherein you will create charts and visuals, maybe making use of, you can make use of the default visuals which are available to you. You can also make use of the app source custom visuals in order to represent the information through the reports or the single or the multiple pages available in a report, because a report may consist of single or multiple pages. Once you have created the reports, you now need to publish it to Power BI service in the fifth step, right? When we will talk and discuss about projects, we will see how can you publish the reports to Power BI service. Now once, and this Power BI service is the second basic element of Power BI that we have talked about. It is written at the top of the screen, you can see. Once you have published the report to Power BI service, you can now create dashboards in Power BI service, right? And there is some difference between reports and dashboards. Reports, as I already told it to you, they can consist of single or multiple pages, but a dashboard will consist of a single page only, right? So there are some other differences as well that we will discuss in the upcoming sessions when we will talk about the projects related to Power BI. And once you have created the dashboard in step 6, you can now share these reports and dashboards that you have created and published to Power BI service. You can then share these reports and dashboards with your colleagues and other people, with whosoever you want to share with, right? So this is not the only way of working with Power BI, but this is the general way in which you can create dashboards and reports using Power BI, or you can get insights from the data using Power BI, right? So I think that's enough for this session. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. So, hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the requirements. Requirements, as in whenever you will be working as a business analyst or a data analyst or a Power BI or Tableau developer, then it will be expected that you have to create the reports and dashboards in such a manner so that all the client requirements are fulfilled, right? Or all the requirements of the stakeholder or the business owner should be fulfilled, right? By the reports or dashboards that you create, by the insights that you are showing. So here in this video, we will discuss about those requirements as well, whatever is expected by you when you will be creating this project. And apart from that, I will also give you a brief about the company and will also tell you about the type of the data that is provided to you, because it becomes very important for you to have a very good understanding of the domain. At the same time, you should have a very good understanding of the data as well. So we will talk about all those things in detail while we'll be discussing about the project. We'll discuss all those things, especially we'll discuss about the better understanding of data, because it will contribute largely to a perfect report or a good report being created. That's why. So here in this case, we have a company by the name Company ABC, and this company is actually customers can place orders for various products sold by this company online, and this ABC company delivers the products in the least possible time depending upon the customer's address, right? This is the second point. Number three, customers can choose either cash on delivery option or they can pay online while placing the order. And the fourth point is that company follows 10 days return policy in case the customer is not satisfied with the product. So he can return the customer within 10 days, and the company will, according to its policy, process the refund as well. So this is a brief about the company. And in this particular project, the data set that is provided to you, it basically consists of nothing but four Microsoft Excel CSV files. CSV means comma separated value files, and that consists of nothing but sales data for 4 months. That is for January 2019, for February 2019, for March 2019, and April 2019. So basically for the year 2019, 4 months of sales data is given to you, and you need to analyze this data and you need to create a report, right? So that is expected from you in this particular project. And each CSV file consists of following columns. The very first column is order ID column, and order ID actually represents a value that can be used to uniquely identify each order. And in each order, more than one products could have been ordered, right? So this is what is being represented by the order ID column. In the second column, the name of the second column is product column or product, and it consists of nothing but the product name. Similarly, third one is quantity ordered column, and this tells you about the quantity of given product ordered in a given order ID. So in a given order ID, more than one products could be ordered, right? So let's say there's an order ID 1, and in order ID 1, three products are ordered. Order A, order B, order C, and the quantity ordered for order A is 3 units of that particular product order A, product A was ordered, right? So in quantity ordered column, you will get value 3 for product A, right? In the given order ID, that is order ID was 1 for these three products, that is A, B, and C. We will see that data, we will open the Excel file as well. But as of now, I'm just telling you about the definitions of the columns. And the fourth column is price each column. Price each column represents nothing but the price of each unit of the given product in a given order ID, right? So as we just discussed, like let's say there's an order ID 1, and for that order ID, in that particular order, three products were sold. So A, B, and C were sold, and let's say the price of 1 unit of product A is 10 rupees. So the price each column will contain value 10 rupees for product A, right? In the order ID 1. And the fifth column is nothing but the order date. Order date column simply represents the date on which the order was placed. And last but not the least, that is the purchase address. So this represents nothing but the customer's address, or the address at which the product has to be delivered by ABC company. Now let us have a look at the Excel file. Right, so here an Excel file is shown where these columns are represented. So very first column is order ID column. Order ID column consists of values and these values can be used to uniquely identify a particular order. Second one is the product column. This consists of the names of the product. Third column is quantity ordered column. This represents nothing but the number of the units of any given product ordered for a given order ID. For example, for order ID 141234, iPhone was ordered and the quantity ordered was 1, and the price for that product iPhone was 700 units. Fine. Now similarly, order date is given. Order date is given means it represents the date and the time on which order was placed, and the delivery address or the address at which the this iPhone has to be delivered uh, as per the order ID 141234 is given to you. That is 944 Walnut Street, Boston, MA 02215. Right. So this is the Excel file where all this data is shown to you. So this was just to give you an idea of that what type of data these Excel files consist of. So this data was shown to you for a given month. Likewise, it is available for all 4 months: January, February, March, and April. Now let's talk about the requirement, that what all is expected from you when you will be completing this project. So by the end of the project, you should create a report which should be able to answer these questions, or which should be able to show these insights on one or multiple pages of the report, because a report can consist of multiple or single pages. So we should come to know, after going through the report, we should come to know that what are the top 5 and bottom 5 product by sales, right? So the 5 products having highest sales and 5 products having lowest sales, least sales. Now in second point, you should also represent sales by region. Third point, all the details about the products ordered in a given order ID should be shown. So let's say if I select a particular order ID, as I already gave you the example of order ID 1. In order ID 1, 3 products were ordered, that is A, B, and C. So if someone selects order ID 1, then they should be able to see that A, B, and C were the products which were sold. This was the price of each one of them for 1 unit, and this was the sales generated for each product in that particular given ID. So we will discuss about all these things in detail, but I'm just giving you an idea of that what all is expected from you. And the fourth point, you should tell number of the orders by time of the day, right? At in what time of day uh, highest number of orders are being placed by the customers, or XYZ number of orders are being placed by the customers. That should also be shown in your report or multiple pages on your report. And fifth point, you should be able to tell number of the orders by date. The sixth point, you should also be able to tell sales by month, right? Seventh point, you should also be able to tell number of the orders by month. Sales by month, sixth point. Orders by month, seventh point. The eighth point, from your report, it should be clear that what are the top 5 and bottom 5 products by cost of each product, right? Price each column was given to you. So from that, you have to tell what are the 5 costliest products and what are the 5 cheapest products. Similarly, in the ninth point, your report should be able to answer what are the 5 most and least ordered products, right? So the products which are which have highest number of quantity ordered, and the products which have lowest number of quantity ordered, you should be able to tell all those things from your reports. Similarly, in the 10th point, you should be able to show the relationship between the sales and quantity ordered, right? So for various products, there is some sales and some quantity of those products is ordered. So you have to create a chart, or you have to create a visual that will represent the relationship between sales and quantity ordered. So this is the requirement. I hope this gave you a good idea of, this video gave you a good idea of that what all is expected from you, that what all you should be able to do by the end of this project. And it with this video was, I hope, also helpful in providing you a brief or a background about the ABC company, that what type of work it is doing and what type of data it has provided you, and what all are the type of requirements and expectations that you should fulfill or complete by the end of this project. Thank you. Hello everyone. In this session, we will talk about the very first step of the general workflow or the general way in which we use Power BI to get useful insights from the data. So as I've already told it to you in the very first video, that the very first step is to collect the data or gather the data from one or multiple sources and bring it to Power BI desktop app. So let's open Power BI desktop app. It may take some time to open. Close this splash screen. Okay. Now I will click here on this get data option, and you can see that you can connect to data from a variety of sources. It can be an Excel workbook, it can be Power BI datasets, data flows, Dataverse, SQL Server, etc. Here in our example, we will collect the data from comma separated value files, Microsoft Excel CSV files. So I'll simply click on text CSV option, and here I am having 4 files, and these files are basically consisting of data, sales data for January, February, March and April month. So I want to bring this data to Power BI desktop. So first of all, let's click here on sales January 2019 file, right? So here you can see this is showing you a preview of the data. These are the different columns which are available in this sheet or in this table: order ID, product, quantity ordered, price each, order date, purchase address. And here you can see either you can click on load or you can click on transform data. If you will click on transform data, it will take you to the Power Query editor, and if you will click on load, it will simply directly load the data into the model. It will not take you to the Power Query editor. So in this case, I will just simply click on load. We will discuss about Power Query editor in the upcoming sessions, so we'll talk about that later. As of now, I'll click on load. So it will directly load the data into the model. It may take some time. And you can see that this sales data or this table is actually available to you here in the fields pane. This is a fields pane. In the fields pane, this table is available, is visible, and this is consisting of these columns: order date, order ID, price each, product column, purchase address column, quantity ordered column, right? Now since I want the data for other months also to be loaded here into the model, so I'll simply again click on get data. Since I want to collect the data from a CSV file, so click on CSV. Now for February month, click on load. It may take some time and the data will be loaded. Again, I have data left for 2 other months. Get data, text CSV, March, load. Right, so here it is showing that the query that you have loaded into the model, it consists of some errors. 3 errors are there, right? So as of now, I'll just simply close this dialog box, but when I will talk about the Power Query editor, we will see how to remove these errors and what type of errors are occurring in this case. As of now, I'll simply close it, right? And here you can see this query is available here in the fields pane by the name sales March 2019. Now the data for April month is left. Simply click on get data, text CSV, and double click on April. Load. Here you can see again this query is also consisting of one error. So we will discuss and talk about this error later. But as of now, I'll simply click here on close in this dialog box. Fine. So you can see in this manner, you can simply bring the data to Power BI desktop. In the next session, we will talk about Power Query editor, and we will see how can we view this data in the Power Query editor, and we can perform various types of data transformations, and also how can we remove the errors that we saw right now for the queries that existed in the queries sales in sales March 2019 and in the query named sales April 2019. 19. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 20 in this session, we are going to talk about the Power Query Editor. As in the previous session, when we saw that when we loaded the data into Power BI desktop, so in that case, we saw that some of the queries were having errors. So in order to resolve those errors, we will go there to Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor, as I already told it to use nothing but the heart of Power BI, and we will try to resolve those errors there, remove those errors there. And then after preparing the data in the Power Query Editor, we will then go there for, we will come back to this view. This is basically nothing but the report view. We will come back to this report view in order to create the report. But as of now, we should first of all since clean the data. So we will go there to the Power Query Editor. So for that purpose, simply click on transform data. Again, click on transform data. Right. Now here you can see on the left hand side we have this queries pane, and in this queries pane all the queries are visible. We have sales January 2019. Similarly, we have for other months, that is February, March and April. Now we are going to discuss about two major things in this particular video. The very first is under the view tab, there is something called column quality, right? So we will see the column quality for each and every column in all the four queries. And then we will also talk about the data types of all the columns in all the queries, right? So for this query, that is sales January 2019, which is the selected query in this case, there are 5 columns. As you can see, we have order ID column, we have product column, then quantity ordered, then we have price each, then we have order date, then we have purchase address, right? Sorry, we have 6 columns, right? So these are the 6 columns which are available for sales January, right, and sales January 2019. And the thing is, the data type, when this query was loaded into the model, the data type of various columns was basically auto detected by Power BI, right? So for order ID column, it auto detected the data type to be a number data type, right? 123 icon is shown, which represents nothing but a whole number, so it auto detected that it is a whole number. For product column, the names of the product are written here, so it auto detected that it is having text values, so ABC is written here, right? So ABC icon represents nothing but text values. Similarly, for quantity ordered, it auto detected it to be the data type of this column to be a number data type, whole number, so it has written 123 here. 123 icon is shown here. Similarly, for price each column, it detected it to be a decimal number, so 1.2 is written here. This icon is shown here. For order date, it detected the data type to be ABC. That means it detected it to be a text data type column, right? But that's not the case. Order date is date data type, right? It should be date data type, but here in our case, the values that you can see, these values consist of date and time both. So it should be not date but date time, date slash time, right? This should be the data type of this column. We will see how to change it. We will talk about all those things later. And similarly, for purchase address column, it auto detected the data type to be a text data type, and that's why ABC icon is shown to here, right? Now let's talk about the column quality, right? So in view tab, under the view tab, you will see this option column quality, right? And now when you will talk about the column quality for each column, then you can see 3 values are shown to you here, right? The very first being valid values, then errors, and then empty values. So in the first column, that is order ID column, we have 99% values which are valid, while there are 0% errors, and less than 1% values are empty values. But empty values should also be equal to 0%, right? Because as I already told it to you, that when we will go there for reporting, the data should be properly structured and it should be cleaned, right? So here we are having empty values. This should not be present there. Similarly, if I'll talk about the second column, same is the case here. Valid values, 99% values are valid, 0% errors are there, but empty values exist in this column. Similarly, in third column also empty values exist. In fourth column also empty values exist. In fifth column also empty values exist, and same is the case with sixth column as well. I want to remove these empty values, right? So in order to see what all values are present, let's say in order ID column, I'll click here and it will show it to me that these are the various values which are available in this column. But here you can see that null values are also present. So what I'll do is I'll unselect all the values and I'll select only null values, right? Now I'll click on OK. So this shows you that there are four records where order ID column is having null values, and when order ID is having null values, all other columns are having either blank records or null values, blank values or null values. So it means these four records are of no use to us. So what I'll do is I'll simply remove these records. So here on the right hand side in the applied step section, if you are interested in removing a step, you can simply delete this step, right? So I filtered the rows, I want to delete this step, so I'll simply click here on this cross, right? And now as we already saw that there were four records which were of no use to us, so under the home tab in this reduce rows section, we have this remove rows group. You just simply click on it and remove blank rows. Now when you will look at this column quality, for all the columns you will see 100% values are the valid values, and none of the columns are having error or empty values, right? So that's the case. Once you have made some changes, you just simply click here on close and apply, and then select this apply option. So it will apply all the changes that you have made, right? If you will click here on close and apply, it will apply the changes and it will take you back to the report view. If you will simply click on apply, the changes that you made will be saved here itself. And if you will click on close, then the changes that you made will not be saved here and it will take you back to the report view. Since I wanted to stay here only and I wanted to apply the changes, so that's why I clicked on apply. Similarly, now let's talk about sales February. If I'll talk about sales February, then here also you can see in the column quality that valid 99% values are valid, 0% errors are present, while less than 1% values are empty values. Same is the case with all other columns, right? So similarly, as we did in the case of January 2019, I'll click here, unselect all the values, select only null values, and click on OK. So here also you can see that there are three records in this particular query which are having empty values or null records for all the columns. So I do not need them. They're of no use to me. So in applied steps, I will delete this step, and then I will, under the home tab, under this reduce rows section, click here on remove rows and then click on remove blank rows. Right. Now you can see that for all the columns we have 100% valid values, no errors are there, and none of the values are empty. Since I want to stay here in the Power Query editor only and I want to apply the changes, so I'll simply click on apply. Now similarly, if I'll talk about sales March, then here you can see in the column quality, you can see that there are errors, right? Less than 1% values are having errors, and valid and empty percentage is not being shown to you. Now I want to remove these errors. Either I want to remove these errors, but before removing these errors, I am interested in knowing that what type of error is it? Why is it occurring, right? So before that, we will talk about the data types of all the columns. So let's have a look at the data type of all the columns. So the very first column is order ID. Again, since Power BI auto detected its data type to be a number type, so 1, 2, 3 icon is shown to you here, right? Same is the case with product column, but in product column we have 100% values, 100% valid values. We do not have any errors. And similarly for quantity ordered column, we know in case of quantity ordered column, Power BI auto detected the column data type to be a number type. So 1, 2, 3 icon is shown to you here, but there are errors. We need to remove these errors, or we need to, correct these errors. If we will be able to correct it, then we will keep those records. And if we will not be able to correct it, or if those records are of no use to us, only in that case we will remove them, right? And then again in the third column, we have errors. In this order date column, sorry, price each was the fourth column, right? In order date column we have 100% valid values, but the data type detected for order date column is a text data type. It is not text, right? It should be date slash time type. So we will change it. We will talk about that later, but first of all let's talk about the errors. And then for purchase address, we have, for purchase address again, we have text data type, and there are no errors in this column. But now I'm interested in knowing about the errors that exist in some of the columns, right? So what I'll do is, under this home tab, under this reduce rows section, I'll click here on keep rows, and I'll click on keep errors. So here you can see that there are three records, and in these three records there are some of the columns which are having errors, right? Order ID, order quantity ordered, and price, each column are having errors. So I'm interested in knowing what type of error is it. So let's click on this error, and it will display a message that we couldn't convert to a number. What is its meaning? It means that this particular error is consisting of or having a value which is not a number. While Power BI auto detected the data type of this order ID column to be a number. So 123 icon is shown to here, but it is not a number, right? So we will have to do something about it. Same is the case with quantity ordered column. Why so? So in order to check that, we'll simply click here on this error. It shows you the error. We couldn't convert it to a number. Again, the same case, right? Power BI auto detected quantity ordered columns data type to be a number type, but it was not a number. It might be something else. That's why it is showing an error to you. Similarly, for price each column, if I'll click on error, you can see that we could not convert it into a number. So same error exists, right? So what I'll do is, I'll first of all delete this step, then I'll again delete this step, right? And since I'm interested in knowing that what type of error it could be, because it was occurring due to data type, right? So what I'll do is, first of all, I will convert the data type of order ID column to text. I'm converting it to text because in case if you get such an error, then whatever may be the data type of any column, first of all you should try to convert it into a text, and then you should see what all are the types of values that are available in that column, because may it be any data type, if you will convert it into text, at least that value will be shown to you, and then you can decide that if that is useful for you, you should try to prepare you should try to treat that particular error, and you may include those records if those records are useful for you, and if those records are not useful for you, then you may remove that. But if you are interested in knowing the value, then first of all you should convert it into a text type, so that at least you will be able to know that yes, this is the value that exists there, right? So that could be done by converting it into text type. May it be a date type, may it be date time, may it be a number value, or may it be anything. If you'll convert it into a text, it will show all those values to you at least, right? Now, same was the case with quantity ordered column. So I'll click here and I'll convert it into text. Similarly, yes, click on replace current. Similarly, for price each column, click on text, replace current. Now I'm interested in knowing what all are the types of the values present here. So you can see we have all the number type values are present here. Okay. But you can see that order ID is present here. Order ID is a string. It is not a number, right? So if in order ID column, there are cells or elements which are cell elements which are having values equal to order ID, which is a string, which is a number. So obviously Power BI will not be able to convert it into a number because it is not a number, it is a string. That's why it was showing error. So in case, if let's say I'm interested in removing or unselecting all of the values, and I want to see only those records where order ID is written in order ID column. So there are three records, and these three records are consisting of values in quantity ordered column, where quantity ordered is written. This is nothing but the name of the column. So we do not want the name of the column to be there. We want some numerical value to be there in quantity ordered column and price each column. So the names of the actually columns are written here in these cells, and these are of no use to us. So it means I will be interested in removing these errors. I'm interested in removing these errors. So what we'll do nothing about it. We'll just simply click here on filtered rows, and then we will simply remove those rows where we are having textual values in case of order ID column, and in case of quantity ordered column, and in case of price each column. So first of all, I'll click here, and since I uh, s- okay, so in case of order ID, first of all, I do not want the data type to be a number data type. I want the data type of order ID column to be a text data type only, because in our analysis, when we will be creating the reports and we will be using the visuals as per our requirement, we want order ID to represent a particular category. We do not want to, we do not want the average of the values in order ID column. We do not want the sum, or we do not want to perform any aggregation operation or mathematical operation on the values contained in order ID column. So that's why, although the order ID may be identified by a number, but I do not want to convert into a number. I want to keep it a textual value only, because I want it to represent different categories. So the correct data type for order ID column will be text data type only. For product column, we have nothing but text data type only, because the name of the product is written and this will be a textual value, so this is fine. For order quantity column, we want whole numbers to be there. So I'll click here on whole numbers, will click on replace current. Similarly, for price each column, I want it to be a decimal number. So I'll click on decimal number and I'll click on replace current. For order date, I don't want it to be a text data type. I want it to be date time data type, right? So for that purpose, I will click here. Now, when you will click here, you will see that this shows error, right? Errors occur here. So this is not the right thing to do. So I will delete this step, and later I'll tell you that what can we do in order to solve this error. So I'll just simply delete this step. Similarly, if I'll talk about the last column, then in last column, since the address is written, and obviously it will be textual data type, so that's fine. That's not the problem. Now I'll click here on refresh. Right. Let's say, as we already saw, it is not showing us the error now, but when we, okay, 1 second, we converted into a number type, we converted into, right. So now it is showing the errors to you, right? Because there were some values we saw in these columns which were, right. So there are how many errors? There are three errors, right? Which were having string values in them, while these two columns are consisting of number values, numerical values. So what I'll do is I'll simply go there to this home tab, and in this home tab we have reduce rows section, and I'll click on remove rows and remove errors. So this will remove all the records which were having errors, and as we saw that there were three records, and these three records were consisting of nothing but the column names. So these were not relevant for our analysis, so we removed them. There could be cases where you may be required to treat those errors and keep those records. So you must deal with them accordingly according to different situations. Here in this particular case, these three columns were not required, since all of them were consisting of nothing but column names, so that was not relevant. That's why I've removed those errors or removed those records. Now, similarly, we'll talk about sales April, right? So in sales April query, we were again having some errors. So let's convert this to a text data type. Convert this also to text data type, and convert price each also to text data type. And now let's see what all are the values present here. Blank values are also present here. We do not want blank records, right? And see, again, order ID is present here. Order ID is nothing but the name of the column. So name of the column is written in values, which is not needed. So let's unselect all the records. Let's select blank. Let's select order ID and click on OK. So there are three records which are blank records. None of the columns are consisting of or having any values. And there is one record which is consisting of string values in all the columns. So for quantity ordered column and for price each column, definitely it will show you the error, because these are not needed, right? These are the string values. These are not needed or required here, because the other values present in these columns are numerical values and these are string values, and these are not the values which are of any use to us. Simply the column names are written here. So this is of no use to us. So we will remove all these four records. So for that purpose, I'll first of all delete this step. Then uh, I'll convert into it. I want the order ID to be a text data type column only. So text is selected here. For product also I want text, so no problem. For quantity ordered, I want whole number to be there. So I'll change the data type. And for price each, I want decimal number to be there. We will talk about order date column. As of now we are not talking about it, we'll talk about it later. And for purchase address column, similarly we want text data type, so text is available here, so that's not the problem, right? And now under home tab, in this reduce rows group, we have remove rows. So simply click on remove errors. It will remove all the errors. And we wanted to remove the blank records as well. There were 3 blank records, so I'll click on remove records and I'll click on remove blank rows. So there are no empty values in any of the columns, and there are no errors in any of the columns. All the values are basically valid values, and 100% of the values are basically valid, and this is what we wanted, right? So now we have prepared and cleaned basically all the tables. So these tables can be now used for reporting and analysis. But first of all, we will talk about column distribution and column profile also. We have talked about column quality. Now we will talk about column profile and column distribution as well, because it will give us more detail about the data that we have, right? And you should know more about your data, because better will be your understanding about the data, about the columns contained in the tables. It will be easier for you to create the reports and to present the insights to your team, right? So that's why we'll talk about that later, right? So if, as of now, if I'll click on the first query and I'll click on view tab, and I'll already column quality box is checked. So you can see that we have valid values, 100% valid values in all the columns. We have no errors and we have no empty values. Yes, one more thing. We had to talk about the data type of order date column. So let's see how can we change it. Text data type is assigned to this column, which is not the correct thing. So what I'll do, I'll simply click here on this icon, ABC icon, and I'll use this option using locale. Actually, the date which is provided to you in this column, order date column, this is basically in a format which is English United States format, right? I want it to be in Indian format, so I will change it accordingly. So in this dialog box that has appeared when you clicked on change data type with locale, here I'll select the data type that we have is date time, right? Select this, and then I have the input values are available in English United States format. So I'll select English United States format. Okay, right. So when you can see here sample input values are given. So we have these dates in this format, right? It should be, the input values should be in the format where month is written first, then date is written, and then year is written. So DD YY format should be there. So we have DD YY format, and then time is written. So we have input values in this format only, and I want it to be in Indian format. So what I'll do, I'll simply click on OK, right? So you can see that the data type has now changed, and now it is date time. When you will now click on this date time, you will see that none of the values contained in this column show error. And since I want to save these changes, so I'll click on home, close and apply, and simply click on apply, because I want to stay here and I want to save these changes. That's why I'm doing this. Similarly, I will select next query for Feb month. The data types, I'll check the data types of all the columns. Order ID column, I want it to be a textual value, as I already told it to you that I want order ID column to represent the categories, different categories in the charts and report. So that's why, as per our requirement, I'm converting it into a text data type. I'm not interested in performing any sort of arithmetic operation on the values contained in this column, right? I don't want to find out the average of these values. I don't want to find out the sum or multiplication or etc. Anything, any mathematical thing. I don't want to do any mathematical operation on the values contained in this column. That's why I've changed its data type to text. I want it to represent different categories, right? That's why, that's the reason. Now for product column, we want the names of the products, so it should be a text value, so that's fine. For quantity ordered, we wanted whole number, so that is also fine. For price each, we wanted decimal number, so that is also fine. For order date, we will again use the same option, like uh, using locale, we want to change the data type, right? So I'll simply click here. This dialog box appears. You need to select correct data type here. We have English United States, which is already available in the columns, and we want it to be as per Indian format. So I'll click here. Okay. Close and apply. Click on apply. Now the fourth column, purchase address, it's a textual value. The values contained in this column are basically textual values, so that's fine. For March month, similarly, order ID is textual value, product is text, quantity ordered is whole number, that's fine. Price each is decimal, that's fine. Order date should be in the correct format, right? So let's change this. Date time, English United States. Right. Fine. Okay. Apply. That's it. Here we wanted for order ID textual value, product textual value, ordered quantity ordered, number value, whole number, price each, we have decimal value, order date we want to change. All right. Okay. Right. Now, if you will go through all these queries, you will see that the number of the columns are same in all these queries, and the data types of all the columns are also same, right? So since all of them are having same data types, all same number of columns, sorry, and since all the columns in all these queries are having same data types, so what I'll do is I will append all these queries to create one query, right? And I will use that particular query to do the reporting, right? Because there is no point in using four queries which are having same number of columns and are having same column data types, which are having same type of data basically, and this data is basically just for different months. So we can keep this data in one single table and then we can use it for analysis, right? So here under this home tab, we have an option to append the queries, and under this option you can either simply append the queries or you can append queries as new. So I'm selecting this option, append queries. Fine. So we have three or more tables, so we will select all these tables. This is the current table which is already present here, so I'll click on February 2019 table, add, March, add, April, add, and click on OK. Right. So all these four queries are basically combined, and after combining all these queries, fine, you can see this is the final query. One second. Here you can see that column profile in general, by default column profile is shown to you with respect to top 1000 rows, but you can change it based on the entire data set. Yeah, so we are having a total of 4,169 records in this query. In sales January query, it means all these four queries were combined, and these were appended and the single query sales January 2019 was made. So we will talk about column profile and column distribution in the next session. But as of now, we have combined these queries, and I will rename this query basically. So now we can rename the combined query, the query that consists of the data of all these 4 months. So you just simply need to double click on this particular query, and let's rename this as combined sales. Combined sales. Fine. You can also right click on that particular query and use this option rename and then rename it. So you can do it both ways. So in the next session, we will discuss about this view tab and other options, that is column profile and column distribution. And we will discuss about the reporting as well and the types of charts that we can. Hello everyone. In the previous video, we have discussed about loading data into Power BI, and our data set actually consisted of four different CSV files, and these files actually consisted of nothing but the sales data. All the files were having same number of columns, and all those files, the columns that all these files were consisting of, they had same data type, right? So since we already know that the number of the fields or the number of the columns were same, and the data types of all those respective columns were also same, so despite of using this CSV option and then clicking on this option again and then selecting each and every file individually, we can use a better option in such cases, that is folder option. So click on get data. After that, click here on more. It may take some time. Then click here on this folder option and click on connect. Now you need to provide the folder path, or you can just simply browse from here. So the name of the folder was dataset. Select OK. Click on OK. Right, so this is showing you all four files, right? This is very helpful because here in this case we were having only four files, so we just selected each file individually and brought the data to Power BI desktop. What if I tell you that there were 300 files, there were 200 files or 100 files? What will you do in that case? In all those cases, you will use this folder option to bring the data to Power BI desktop, right? Now you can click here on combine. Either you can click on combine and transform data. This will combine the data and will take you to the Power Query editor, or you can just simply use this combine and load option. This will combine the data. This will combine all four queries and will load the data into the model. So as of now, I'm clicking here on this combine and load option. It may again take some time. It actually depends on the size of the data. This is showing you the preview of the data based on first 200 rows. Simply click on OK. Fine. Right, so there are some errors. Actually, there are four errors, right? When we loaded the queries individually, we saw that in March and April month files, in the files having sales data for the months March and April, were having errors. I think three errors were there in March month and one in April month. So 3 plus 1, 4. Total 4 errors were there combined. So it is showing 4 errors here, right? So there is no difference. You can just simply combine them in this way, combine these files in this way, and bring the data to Power BI desktop. Now, this is your fields pane, and in this fields pane you can see this is the data set that represents the four files combined, and these are the columns or the field names which are available in that particular data set, right? In that one particular table that consists the data from all the four files combined. Now if you want to have a look at the data there in your Power Query editor, then you can just simply click here on transform data, then transform data again. And here, when you will click here on this data set, this is your entire data that is visible to you, right, on your screen. Now the point is, if I'm interested in knowing the count of the number of the records, then you can just simply click here on this view tab, then check this box, And this is showing you the column profile based on top 1000 rows. By default, it will show you the column profile based on top 1000 rows. So here you need to select entire data set, column profile based on entire data set. So the total count is nothing but 4183, right? So in this menu, you can check the count of the records as well. So this is one more way in which you can load the data into the model in case you are having multiple files which are having same number of columns having same data types, right? And then you can clean and prepare the data in the Power Query editor in this case as well, like we did in the in the case where we brought individually, we brought each and every file or the data from each and every file to Power BI desktop, and then we cleaned and prepared and structured the data from each file, right? So here you can combine them first of all, and then you can clean, prepare, and structure the data in the same way as we did in the previous video, in the previous session, right? So I think that's enough for this session. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. So hello everyone. In the previous session, we have discussed about loading data into Power BI desktop by using the folder option. Now we will go there to the Power Query editor, and we will simply try to clean the data. And we have already discussed about the errors and the blank records that existed in all those queries, the four queries that we loaded when we used the text CSV option. So I've already explained each and everything to you. But here we will simply apply those steps on the combined query, and we will try to clean the data so that it will then become ready for reporting purpose. So I'll simply click here on transform data option. It will take us to the Power Query editor. This is the name of the combined query, dataset. Now when you will look here at the very first column, basically the names of all the files are given to you, or the names of all the files are written. That, for example, let's say the very first record was fetched from sales April 2019.csv file, so the name of that file is given to you. So in the very first column or the field, the names of the files are given to us which are not relevant for us. So what I'll do is I'll simply delete this column. So right click on this column and click on delete or remove, or you can simply press the delete button from keyboard as well. Now these are the columns left, and these were the columns that we had in the combined query when we loaded four queries individually using that text CSV option, right? So here first of all I'll click here on this remove rows option, and I'll remove the errors. We have already discussed about the errors. These errors were not relevant for us, so that's why we have removed these errors. Else, let's say if there's a situation wherein these values are relevant or important for you in your data set, then you will try to treat those errors and will keep them in the data set only, so that they will be used for the analysis, right? But here, since these records were not relevant, that's why I'm removing them. Similarly, I'll use this remove blank rows option, and I'll remove all the blank records. Now I'll click on this view tab, and I'll click on column quality. So in all the columns you can see we have 100% valid values, and there are no errors and no empty values exist in any of the columns. Now let's talk about the data type. The data type of very first column, order ID, should be a text data type, because while we will create the reports, we want this particular column to represent different categories, and we are not interested in performing any of the mathematical operations on the values in this particular column, right? We do not want to find out the average of the values in the order ID column. We do not want to find out the mean, median, anything, etc. Any mathematical operation. We don't want to perform any mathematical operation on the values contained in this column. So that's why, since I want the values in this column to represent different categories, so I've converted the data type of this particular column, order ID column, which was auto detected by Power BI to be a number data type. I've converted it into a text data type as per my requirement. Similarly, if I'll talk about the product column, so it is already having text data type, so we want it to be a text data type. That's fine. Quantity ordered should be a whole number. That is also fine. Price each should be a decimal number. That is also fine. But in case of order date, we changed it with locale, right? I already explained it to you in the previous session. So here also I'll do the same thing. So I'll simply click here on using locale. And since the format given in this particular column is English, date time is actually available to you in English United States format, and I want it to be in Indian format. So what I'll do is I'll simply select date time format from here in this dialog box, and then I will select English United States. Fine. And click on OK. So it will now convert this order date into as per the Indian format, and we will then use it for reporting. It is basically now in DDMM YYYY format, right? So we will now use it for the reporting purpose. And the last column is having nothing but the purchase address, which is having the data type text. So that is also fine. Now I'll simply click here on close and apply, or you can simply click on apply if you want to stay here in the Power Query editor. So first of all, I'll click on apply. Let's apply all the changes. And now I can just simply click here on close option. So this will take us back to the report view, and in the report view this is the canvas. And in the upcoming sessions we will see how can we use the visuals and create the report and create the report, and by making use of different custom visuals and the visuals which are available to you by default. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about data profiling. And under data profiling, we will discuss about column distribution, column profile, and column quality. Although we have talked about column quality, but here we will discuss about each and everything in detail. So let's open Power BI desktop. It may take some time. Fine. Get data, text CSV. Let's choose sales April 2019. Open. Okay, so it may take some time to load. Data may take some time to load depending on the size. And this is showing you the preview. Click on load. Fine. So this query contains one error, but that's not the problem. Simply close it. Now let's go there to the Power Query editor. Transform data. Okay. So this is the Power Query editor, and here under the view tab, you can see column distribution, column profile, and column quality. So let me uncheck this box. Fine. Now, first of all, let's talk about column distribution. So when I'll check this box again, you can see that distinct and unique count is basically being shown to you for various columns. For product column, the distinct and unique values count is shown to you. Same is the case with order date, and similarly with purchase address. But for some other columns, it is not showing you this distinct and unique count because they are having some errors. So I will simply click on this home tab, remove rows, remove errors, apply the changes. Still these errors exist. Okay, click on order ID, remove rows. Fine, now these errors are gone. I'll simply click here on apply because I want to stay here in the Power Query editor and I want to apply the changes. So fine. So we have the distinct and the unique counts for each columns. But what is the meaning of these distinct and unique counts? In order to understand this, I will first of all close this Power Query editor and I will create one table here. Let's name that table as test table. Let's name this column as values. Fine. Now let's input some values. Let's consider the first value to be null. Let's say second value is 1. Again we have 1. So 1 occurs 3 times. Then we have 2 occurring 1 time. Then we have 3 occurring twice. 4 occurring thrice. And 5 occurring once. So this is a new table that we have created. And first of all, we will talk about this table. Now let's go to the Power Query editor again. And from this queries pane on the left hand side, select this table. And here you can see that distinct and unique count is shown to you. And it is showing the distinct count as 3 and unique count as, distinct count as 6 and unique count as 3. So in order to understand this, fine. Let's say these are the values which were given to you. The very first value was null. Second value was 1, which was occurring 3 times. Then we had 2 occurring once. Then 3 occurring twice. Then we had 4 occurring thrice. And then we had 5 occurring once. Right. Now let's talk about the distinct and unique counts. So first of all, we will write the numbers or the values which are occurring only once. So we had this 2 which is occurring once, this 5 occurring once, and null value is also available once. So I will write these values. We have null occurring once, we have 2 occurring once, and 5 also occurred only once in this particular column. So the total count comes out to be 1, 2, and 3. That's why the unique count is shown or given to you as 3. While if I'll talk about the distinct values, then distinct actually refers to all the different values which are occurring. So we have null occurring once, we have 1 occurring thrice, we have 2 that occurred once, we have 3 it occurred twice, we have 4 it occurred thrice, and we have 5 that occurred once. So you basically just simply need to count the total number of different values that occurred. So we have null 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, and then we have 5. So the total number of the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's why the distinct count is being shown to you as 6. So distinct actually shows you all those different values which are occurring there in the column, and they may occur once and they may occur more than once as well. But unique will show you only those counts, only counts of those values which are occurring only and only once. Here you see that null, 2, and 5 occurred only and only once, so the unique count became 3. While the total number of the different values that we had in this column were 6. That's why the distinct count is showing it to you as 6. This distinct and unique count becomes very important because in the cases where you are dealing with a data set which has multiple tables, so when you are trying to establish the relationship between multiple tables, so primary key in a table is actually a column that consists of values such that the distinct and unique count comes out to be same, right? Because all the values in a primary key column will occur only and only once. So if you want to identify, or if you want to check that if a particular column which is, let's say it is told to you that in your data set this is the particular table, and in this table this particular column is identified as the primary key, so for that particular primary key the distinct and unique count must be same, because all the values will occur only and only once in that particular column, and no null values should be present in that particular column because that is identified as the primary key. So this column distribution becomes very important in that case. That's the difference between distinct and unique values. Similarly, now let's talk about our data set, transform data. Now let's open the sales 2019 April. So if you will talk about order ID column, here we have 952 distinct values and 908 unique values. It means 908 values are occurring only and only once in this order ID column, right? While there are a total of 952 different values in this particular order ID column. Same is the case with all other columns as well, right? Now let's talk about, after column distribution, let's talk about column profile. So I will uncheck this box and I will click on column profile. Column profile is also very important because it gives you more detail, more information about the data that you have, and a better data understanding is very important for creating a good and a correct report, right? So at the bottom, first of all, here you can see that it shows that column profiling based on top 1000 rows. So by default it will show you the column profile based on top 1000 rows, but we are interested in having a look at the column profile which is based on entire data set. So first of all, from here I will select column profiling based on entire data set. Now it shows me the column profile for the selected column. Here I've selected this order date column. Let's select this order ID column. You can select any column, right? So it is telling us that the total number of records are basically equal to 1003 in this particular column. There are zero errors. When we talked about that column distribution, sorry, when we talked about column quality, it was showing us the percentage of the errors and percentage of empty values and percentage of valid values. It is here in this case, in the case of the column profile, it is showing you the count, it is showing you the number. So the number of the errors are zero. Empty values, 3 empty. There are three such cells which are having empty values. 955 distinct values are there, right? And we have a total unique count of 911 for this particular column. Not a number, zero. Zero count is zero. Minimum value is 176558. Maximum value is 177511. The average of these values is shown to you, and standard deviation is shown to you. Number of the even values are shown to you, and number of odd values are shown to you. So here order ID column is having the data type as a whole number. So for a number type, a column having number data type, we have seen all this column profile. Now let's talk about a column which is basically having a text data type. So for a text data type, it will show you the empty strings, it will show you unique values, distinct values, empty values, errors. It will show you the total number of the records as a form of the count, in the form of the count. It will show you the maximum values. So all this data will be visible to you here, right? Same is the case with the order date, but for order date, we will have to change the data type. So as we did in the previous cases, we will do it again here, no issues. Fine. Right. Now when you will, if you are interested in knowing about the column profile, then you can see the column profile here. It is showing it to you that the average value is this, maximum value is this is your minimum value, and error, number of the errors are shown, number of the empty values are shown. So whatever may be the data type of the column that you've considered, you can go through the column profile, and you must see the column profile for each and every column in your data set. And you should also go through the column distribution, and all you should also check the column quality for each and every column. So far we have discussed about column distribution and column profile. Now let's talk about column quality. So I will uncheck this box, right, and I will check this box, column quality. So now you can see valid, error, and empty values are being shown to you for each column. So in terms of percentage, it will show you all the what are the percentage of the values which are valid, what are the percentage of the cells which are having erroneous values, what are the percentage of the cells having which are having empty values. So in terms of percentage, it will show you valid, empty, and error values. Before whenever you load your data into Power BI desktop, the very first thing that you should do is that you must do data profiling. You should check column distribution, column profile, and column quality for each column, because it improves your understanding of the data, and it also gives you a good idea of that what type of steps should be taken in order to clean, prepare, and structure the data. We have discussed some of the data cleaning steps in the previous sessions as well, but here I just wanted to tell you about data profiling. So especially we are discussing about these three options in this video. Also, one of the most important things that you should check before starting your reporting part, or before going there to the report view in order to create the report, that you should check the data types of each and every column in your data set. If the data type of any column will not be identified correctly as per your requirements, then in that case it will become a trouble for you to create a good and a perfect and accurate and correct report. So that's why you should check the data type as well of each and every column. Like for example, in this case, as per my analysis, I want the values contained in order ID column to represent different categories. So I want it to be a textual value. So I'll simply convert it into text, because I am not interested in performing any mathematical operation like finding out the average or the minimum maximum value of the values contained in this particular order ID column as per my requirement. I've already discussed about the requirements in the second video. So that's why I will change its data type to text type. For product, I want its data type to be text, no problem. For quantity ordered, I want a whole number, no problem. For price each, it should be a decimal number, no problem. For order date, I wanted the data type to be date time, so it is now converted to date time, as I already saw how we converted into date time. And same is the case with purchase address. We want the data type to be text as per our requirement, so that's perfectly fine. So that's the point. And now you can just simply click here on home tab, click on close and apply. It will take you back to the report view. Here you can create your reports once you have cleaned and prepared your data. So that's all for this session. I just wanted to give you an idea of the data profiling, and whenever you load your data into Power BI, the very first step is that you should do data profiling and you should check the data types of all the columns as well. Right, so that's it for this session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Hello everyone. So in this session, we are going to talk about some more data cleaning steps, because our data should be properly structured, prepared and cleaned before using it for reporting purposes or creating the reports or dashboards. So I've already talked about two methods of loading the data into Power BI desktop. One was by individually using all the 4 files that we had, CSV files that we had, or you can also use the folder option. So here we will now be considering loading those 4 files individually and appending them for our use, right? You can use the folder option as well, that is not the problem, but now in the upcoming videos we'll be using that text CSV option only, right? So now let's go there to the Power Query editor and let's try to uh, clean, prepare and structure the data as per our requirements. So the very first query is of our use, that is sales combined, and we will be using this only. All other queries consist of data for other months, but we will be using this single query only because we have combined the data, because all these 4 files were having same number of columns and these columns were having same data types. That's why. Fine. So now in the very first step, let's open the requirements PPT. So in this PPT, it is given to us that we have to represent top or bottom 5 product by sales. But in the columns provided to us, or in the data set provided to us, there is no such column that represents or shows sales. So in order to get the sales, I will, under this add column tab, I will use this custom column option. And I will rename this column as sales, right? And here you need to put the suitable formula that will calculate the sales for you. So sales will be calculated by the product or the multiplication of quantity ordered and price each. So I will simply put these columns here and multiply them. And here at the bottom, it is showing it to you that no syntax error has been detected. So the formula is proper, it's correct, totally correct. Simply click on OK. And this is the sales column that is added here. And now the data type of this column should be decimal number, because sales column is nothing but the product of quantity ordered and price each. Quantity ordered is a whole number, price each is a decimal number, so the product could be a decimal number. So in that case, we should keep its data type, sales columns data type, to be a decimal number. That's why we have kept it as a decimal number. Under the home tab, I'll click on apply because I want to apply the changes and I want to stay here in the Power Query editor itself. So now we are having a sales column. Now let's talk about second requirement. So in the second requirement, we want to represent sales by region, right? So sales is fine, we have a sales column, but region, we are not having any such column. So you can see this purchase address column. I will first of all rename this column as customer address. So you can just simply double click here on this column and type customer address. Fine. Now when you will have a look at the different addresses written here, let's talk about the first address. So it is 944 Walnut Street, comma, space, Boston, comma, MA 02215. If I'll talk about the second address, it is 185 Maple Street, comma, space, Portland, comma, OR 97035. So I am interested in extracting the names of cities from this particular column, and the names of the cities are basically written between 2 commas. So I basically want to extract the text between these two delimiters. I want customer address column to be there, and I want to extract this city name in a separate column. So under this add column tab, there is an option extract, and this will help us extract the text between the delimiters. So I'll simply click here on text between delimiters. Starting delimiter is comma, ending delimiter is also comma. Click on OK. So here you can see your customer column address remains the same, and in the end you have a new column having the name text between delimiters and type text type. Fine. So I will first of all rename this column as city name or region name. Let's say I'm naming it as region, and its data type is properly fine. It is text, but there is one problem that in the beginning of the names of all these cities there is a space, right? Basically leading spaces are there, so we want to remove these spaces. So under the transform tab there is an option format. Simply click on format. Then we have an option trim. When you will hover your mouse over this trim option, it will display a small message that tells you that it helps you remove leading and trailing white spaces from each cell in the selected column. So I've selected this region column, and now I'll simply click on trim. So all the extra white spaces from the beginning and the end in this region column will be gone. Now again, I want to apply the changes and I want to stay here in Power Query editor only. So I'll simply click on home tab and I'll click on apply. That's it. Now let's talk about the next requirement. According to the next requirement, we need to represent all the details about the products ordered in a given order. So all the details about the product are already available, like the order date is available to us, the time at which order was placed is available to us, price of various products are available to us, quantity ordered is available to us, so that's not the problem. So I think we have enough columns, and we have required columns basically for showing these details about any given order and the products ordered in that particular order. So that's it. In the fourth point, we want to represent number of orders by the time of the day. So I basically want the time and order date and order time to be in separate columns, because that will be required in my analysis. So this is the order date column. As of now, you can see that we are having order date and time in same column. And first of all, let's change its data type. So I'll simply click on using locale. I've already shown this step to you in the previous session. Date time, English US, right? Okay. Home tab, close and apply. Right. So now I want two columns to be there. In one of the columns, order date should be there, and in the second column, the time of the day at which the order was placed should be there. So for this purpose, under the add column tab, we have something called extract. Simply click on extract, and we want to extract the text after the delimiter, because between date and time a space is there, white space is there. So simply click on text after delimiter and simply click once on the space bar and then click on OK. Right. So still your date and time remains in the order date column and text after delimiter column is present here, but I wanted order date and time to be in different columns. So I'll delete this step because this didn't serve the purpose. And under the transform tab, we have one more option, split. So I will use this option because this option can be helpful in this case. Simply click on split, and we want to split by delimiter, and this delimiter is nothing but a space. And since this space occurs between date and time only once in all the cells, so what you can do is you can select any option. You can select leftmost delimiter, rightmost delimiter, or each occurrence of the delimiter. So let it be each occurrence of the delimiter only, and simply click on OK. So it will create two separate columns for you. You can see the name of the first column created after splitting these two columns is order date 1 column, and the second column created here is order date 2 column. Order date 1 column consists of the date, and order date 2 column consists of the time of the day at which the order was placed. Sorry, I'll simply rename this column, double click on it, double click on the column, This is time, representing time, and double click on this column and rename it as date. And the data type of date column should be date data type. Similarly, for this column, the data type should be time data type. Home, apply. Fine. Now after this, let's talk about the next requirement. Fine. The next requirement, yes, we wanted time in a separate column, so we did that. Now we want number of orders by date, so we have date in a separate column. That's also not the problem for us. Sales by month we want. So let's say I am interested in creating a separate column for month. So what can I do in that case? This is our date column. From the date column, we can extract the month name. So under the add column tab, we have this date option in the from date and time section. Simply click on date, month, name of the month, right? So a separate column will be added here in the end, and its name is month name. We are fine with it. Its data type is text data type, so that's fine. Now let's say I'm interested in knowing that what all months data is available here. So I'll simply click here on this option and I will click here on load more. So here you can see the data is available to you for January, February, March, April and May. While it was told to us in the beginning that this is sales data only for January, February, March and April. No description was given about the data or the orders placed in May, but there are some records which are having orders placed in May as well. So we should remove this because this is not relevant for our analysis. We are analyzing the data for January, February, March and April. So I'll remove this data. So for that purpose, what I'll do is I'll simply click here again. I'll click here on sort descending. So this will bring the data belonging to May month or records belonging to May month at the top, right? And there is only one such record that is consisting of the orders placed in May month. And since I'm interested in removing this record, so under the home tab, under this remove rows section, we have something called remove top rows. And since only one record from the top consists of the data or the orders placed in May month, I'll simply type 1 here and click OK. So this will remove the top row for you. Now when you will click here, you can clearly see that data is available to you only for January, February, March and April month. So that's completely fine. Since I want to apply the changes and I want to stay here in Power Query Editor only, so I'll click here on apply. Fine. Although by making use of the date column, we could achieve the purpose uh, of actually representing the sales or the number of the orders by month, because there is something called date hierarchy. We will talk about that as well. So it is not needed to add a separate column for month name, right? Although I've done it here, but this is not recommended because any extra column that you will add, it will occupy some more space, some space in your model, and this will ultimately affect the performance of the report. So this is not recommended, right? So it's better that you use this option, right? Date option. Same is the case with sales column. If we could have, by making use of the dex expressions, represented sales in our various charts or visuals by making use of some DAX expressions, or let's say by creating some measures. So in that case, it will not be recommended to create a sales column as well, a separate sales column as well, because it ultimately occupies more space in the model and which ultimately affects the report performance. So when the report performance will be affected, many things get affected, like rendering of visuals may take more time. So it ultimately affects the user performance. So it is not recommended. But here we have added these separate columns in order to show it to you that what all are the operations that you can perform in Power Query Editor. How can you use the power of Power Query Editor, which is basically the heart of Power BI, right? So that's the point here. Now let's talk about the next requirement. As per the next requirement, we want sales by month. We have sales column, we have month column, number of the orders by month. So yes, month column, we have number of orders by month, we can easily plot, no problem. Top five bottoms by sorry bottom products by cost, so we have price each column. From there we can see the cost, and we can easily represent top and bottom five products by making use of a bar chart, column chart, or a line chart in fact. And then we have to plot five most and least ordered products, so that can also be done. We have enough data available for that, sufficient data available for that. And relationship between sales and quantity order needs to be represented, so for that also we have sufficient data. So this is how we have prepared the data that will be used for our analysis. Now let's go back to the report view. So I'll simply click here on close and apply. This will apply all the changes and will take you to the report view, and in the report view you can create your reports. This is the report view, and here you can create all your reports. Now one more thing, since I have combined the data of all 4 months and kept it in one query by which is named sales combined, so I'll delete rest of the queries because they are not needed. So I'll simply select them, click on delete, yes. So it displays a message that the query sales April 2019 cannot be deleted because it is being referenced by another query sales combined. As you already know that we appended these 4 queries, and a new query that is sales combined, I mean not a new query was created, sales January 2019 was updated. So this sales combined file or sales combined query actually consists of data from sales April 2019. So it is saying that it could not be deleted because it is being referenced by another query that is named as sales combined. The query will remain, but its data won't be directly loaded into the model. So that's fine, no problem. We'll simply just click on yes. Yes, by deleting these queries from here, these queries will actually not be visible here in the fields pane, right? So it may not create any confusion, and we'll be clear about the file that or the query or the table that we have to use for the analysis. So that's why I'm removing all other queries from here. So just simply click on delete. Yes, yes. Simply select this file as well, delete. Yes, yes. These files will still be visible there in the Power Query editor, as you can see here, right? But from the fields pane in the report view, these will not be visible. So we have only one query that we'll be using. One more thing, if you will look at different fields or columns present here in this sales combined query, then you can see that before the names of these columns some icons are made. Like for example, before this date column we have this icon, right? Before this order ID column we have this summation. For before this price we have summation. So this summation represents that these columns are consisting of numerical values, right? Similarly sales, similarly same is the case with sales as well. And for the date column it is represented that this column, this icon is representing that this column consists of date, right? But there is one more column for which we need to change the data category. There is something called data category that you need to change, because when you will be making use of maps and you will be representing data on maps, so you need to specify the category of the field that is being used there. So for this region field, I want the category to be, its category to be a city. So here you can see when you will click on this column, you can see something called data category. Under this data category it is written uncategorized, but we know that in this column we have the names of the city. So I'll simply select this and I'll click here on city. So now you can see that a globe icon appears before the name of this region, and before this globe icon was not there, right? And rest all other remaining columns are actually consisting of textual values, so we are perfectly fine with it. That's not the problem. But yes, before this time column, right, this is representing time. So I'll go there to the Power Query editor again and I'll check its data type. So it is representing time. Fine, so that's fine. Right, so that's all for this session, and I hope this video was helpful. So we'll meet in the next session. We will discuss about creating the reports and using different types of visuals while creating the reports. So by then, thank you. Bye-bye. Hello everyone. So in this session now we will begin with the reporting part, but before beginning with the reporting part, first of all, let's go there to the Power Query editor. So I'll simply click here on transform data. And here in the Power Query editor, first of all, you should check the data types of all the columns, because if there will be any mistake in it, so ultimately your report will give inaccurate results, incorrect results, right? So I wanted the order ID to be a text data type, so I'll change it to text. Then we have product, we wanted it to be a text data type, that's perfectly fine. Order quantity, whole number, that is also fine. Price each, a decimal number, that is also fine. Date, order date, date format, that is also fine. Time format, that is also fine. And for customer address, we wanted text type, that is also correct. For sales, we wanted a decimal number, decimal type, so that's fine. Region, text type, that is fine. Month name, text type, that is fine. And you can also just click on the view tab, and you can view column distribution, column profile, and column quality for all the columns. Also at the bottom, you should select column profiling based on entire data set. So it is showing it to us that there are a total of 4,160 records, and for this particular column, that is month name, it is showing you error, empty, distinct, unique, empty string, minimum and maximum values. Similarly, you can check for all the columns, right? And once you've checked each and everything, you can also see that column quality is shown it to you here. The valid percentage of valid values, errors, and empty values are also shown. Same is the case for all of the columns. So fine. So you should go through the column profile, column distribution, column quality for all the columns before beginning with the reporting part, and you should check the data types as well. Now since everything is fine here, so I will now click here on close and apply. It will take us back to the report view and will apply the changes that we made there in the Power Query editor. We did nothing but just simply change the data type of order ID column. Now let's talk about the requirements that we had to fulfill by the end of the project. I already told to you that some of the client requirements, basically all the client requirements, should be fulfilled by the report that you will create. So first of all, now let's go to the PowerPoint presentation where these requirements were listed and written. So in order to show or represent the insights related to these 10 points, I will actually create multiple pages on the report. We will basically create 4 pages, and I am writing the number of the names of the pages on which various visuals will be present and various insights will be shown. So we will create third page, and on the third page we will represent all the top or bottom 5 products by sales, top and bottom 5 products by cost, and 5 most and least ordered products. That is this first point, 8th point, and 9th point. We will represent it on page 3. For sales by region or sales by city, we will be representing it on page 2. And remaining all other points will be represented, or insights related to all of the points will be represented on page 1. So I'm writing 1 here. We will create one more page, 4th page, but on that page details of all the products will be shown for any given order, right? So we will discuss about that as well, but now let's talk about the first page. So on the first page, let's talk about point 3 first of all. So here in point 3 it is written that you need to show all the details about the products ordered in a given order, right? So in order to show all the details of the products ordered in a given order, first of all I will use a slicer or a visual filter, and using that slicer or visual filter we will select a particular order ID. So on page 1 only I will create a slicer or a visual filter on which all the order IDs will be mentioned. You can choose any one particular order ID, or you can select multiple order IDs as well by using control click, and then you can view the details of all the products ordered in all those order IDs or any one selected order ID. So in order to create a visual filter or a filter slicer or a visual filter here on the report, first of all in this visualizations pane there is the slicer icon, so you just simply click here on it and it will create this blank slicer for you. So you can resize it like this. So I'll select it, then you can resize it. Fine. You can just simply move it to any other position wherever you wish to. Now you can see that there is this bucket, field bucket. In the field bucket, you need to drag and drop suitable field or column from your fields pane, and you need to drop it here in the fields pane. So since I want order IDs to be represented here in the slicer or visual filter, so I'll simply drag this order ID from the fields pane and I'll drop it here in field bucket. So here you can see all the order IDs are now being shown to you here in this visual filter. And now let's say I am interested in adding a visual border to this particular visual. So I'll first of all select the slicer, and after selecting the slicer I will click here on this format your visual option under the visualizations pane, and then I will select general effects and I will click on border. So it will add a border to the visual. And let's say if I'm interested in adding a shadow as well to this particular filter, so I'll click here on format or visual option, general, effects, and then I'll simply change it to turn it to on, right? So now you can see that a shadow and border has been added. Let's say I want to remove the border, so I can simply change it to off, right? So this is the visual that we have created. And let's say for this visual, I want a different type of style to be present there. So there are various styles from which you can choose. So first of all, click on this visual. Now click here on this format your visual option. And from the slicer setting, you can select different styles. Let's say I want to select drop down. So I'll simply click here on drop down. So now you can see this type of slicer or visual filter is available to you. You can actually select single or multiple order IDs from here, and with respect to the selected order IDs, entire data on this particular page of the report will be filtered, and we will make use of drill through filter. I will tell you about that. So using the drill through filter and this particular slicer, on page 4 you can see the details of all the products which were ordered in the selected order IDs. So that's why it is useful for us. I will change the size, and now let's say I want to format this visual. So again I'll click here on format your visual option. Then I want to, let's say, change the font style for the slicer header. So I can change it from here. Let's say I want to select Georgia, so I'll select Georgia from here. I want to keep it bold, so I'll select bold. Let's say I want to increase the size and I want to keep it 15, so I'll increase it to 15, right? Same thing I want to do for its values as well. So under this values section, I can change the font of my choice. Let's say I want to keep it Georgia. Let's say I want to change its size to 10 and I want to keep it bold, right? So now you can see when you will select, you will click here on all, you can see all these order IDs are shown to you, and you can select any one order ID or multiple order IDs from here, right, as per your requirement, and you can see the data which will be filtered according to the selected order ID. Now I want to show the total number of orders and the total sales here on this page. So for that purpose I will be using a card visual. So from this visualizations pane, you can just simply click here on this card visual option, and this will create a blank card for you, right? I will change its size, and let's say on this card I want to represent the total number of the orders. So I will click here on this card and I'll click here on this add data to your visual. I'll double click on this order ID field and I'll drag and drop it here in fields bucket, right? And now it is showing the first order ID to me. I'm not interested in seeing the first order ID here. I want to see the distinct count of order IDs. That will give me the total number of the orders basically. So I'll simply click here on the drop down and I'll select count distinct. So this count distinct now shows total number of orders which are the details of which are available in the data set that you have. Now let's say I want this card visual to have same formatting as that of the slicer. So first of all, I'll click here on the slicer. Then under this home tab, I'll click on format painter and I'll then again click on the card visual. So now this is also having, you can see this card visual is also having a shadow similar to that of the visual filter or the slicer that we have used on this page. Now let's say I am interested in changing the text format, and I'm interested in changing the category label and call out value text format. So what I'll do in that case, first of all, I'll select on call out value, and let's say I'm interested in changing the size, reducing the size. So I'll reduce the size. Let's say I want to keep it 30, and I want to keep the font as Georgia. I'll select Georgia. I want to keep it bold, so I'll keep it bold. And now let's change the text format for category label as well. I want to keep it bold, and I want its color to be black, so I'll select black from here. I want the size to be 10. I'll reduce the size from here, and I'll select Georgia. Fine. And now again, let's resize this card visual. Right. Right. Now I think it looks comparatively better. And now I wanted to represent the total sales as well. For the data set that is given to us, I want to represent the total sales in a card visual on this particular page of the report. So I will simply click here on the card visual that I've already created, Control C, Control V. So in that case, the new card visual that will be created will be having same formatting as that of the card visual that you have already created. And for this newly created card visual, here in the fields bucket, I will change the field because I want total sales to be represented here. So I'll just delete this field that already exists here because we copied the old visual. And now I will simply drag the sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the fields bucket. So now you can see it is showing you the sum of sales or the total sales. But here I want this sum of sales not to be displayed. I want that here total sales should be written. So I'll simply click here on this card visual, and then from the fields pane I can simply change the name. I can double click here on the name sum of sales, and then I'll write total sales. Fine. So now you can see that the name has been updated. And now let's say for some given particular order ID, I want to see the number of the orders and the total sales. So for that purpose, I can select any one order ID from here. And you can see that the data is accordingly updated on these card visuals. Now let's say I'm interested in selecting more than one order IDs. So you can just simply control click and select multiple order IDs. So this will show you the total sales and the number of the orders for the selected order IDs. So you can clear selections now. Fine. And for this card visual where the number of the orders are being shown, I want count of the order IDs not to be shown there, but I want that total number of the orders should be written here. So what I'll do this, what I'll do here, I'll simply select this card visual, and here in the fields pane, I'll double click here on the name, and I'll clear it, and I'll write total number of orders. Total number of orders. Fine. So I think it looks good now, and the total number of orders are also being shown, and the total sales is also being represented. We will create other visuals, so we will talk about all those things in the next session. Here I hope the requirements and the different pages that we are going to create, this basic information, it is all clear to you. So in the next session we will create more visuals, we will add more visuals to this page, and we will create new pages as well on this report. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Hi everyone. In this session, we will discuss about how to create a ribbon chart. Let's say I am interested in creating a ribbon chart on which top 5 products by sales should be represented. Fine. So we will see how we can create a ribbon chart. Although we will create a separate page, where we will discuss about top 5 product by sales, by price each, and so on. Top 5 and bottom 5 we'll discuss, but in this particular session we will see how we can create a ribbon chart, right? But before that, there was one more thing that we had to discuss in the previous session. We didn't discuss it. So as you can see on this particular card visual, where the total sales is represented, you can see a dollar sign before this figure, that is 781.38K. There is a dollar sign. Now let's say I want to remove this symbol. So what I'll do, I'll just simply click here on the sales field, And here you can see under this format section, this currency is selected. So I will select this general. So now you can see that this dollar sign will be gone from here, right? It's gone. So this is how you can use this dollar sign here by using this format, particular format option. And using this option, you can change it to currency, you can keep it general if you don't want the symbol to be there. Now let's say I want to add a different symbol. Let's say I want to, in place of dollar, I want euro or some other country's currency I want. So you can just simply click on currency, and then from here you can choose the currency of your need. So let's say I want to select euro. So in place of dollar, euro will appear. We may select some other currency, Chinese. So likewise it will be changed. But let's say I want to keep it English United States, that is dollar only. So I'll simply click here on this option, right? So in this manner you can change the currency if you wish to. If you don't want to change the currency, you can simply select general from format section, right? So that was one of the things that we had to discuss in the previous session. We forgot to discuss. Now let's talk about creating a ribbon chart. So first of all, when you wish to create a ribbon chart, so from this visualizations pane, you can select this ribbon chart, and a blank ribbon chart will be created for you, as you can see on your report design area. I'll simply drag and drop it here, move it here, right? Let's increase its size. Fine. Now, in order to create this ribbon chart wherein we are interested in representing top 5 products by category, sorry, top 5 products by sales. So for that purpose, I will simply drag this product field from the fields pane and will drop it here in x-axis bucket. And I will drag the sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the y-axis bucket. Now, since I want this data to be represented by month as well, so what I'll do, I'll simply drag this month name field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the legend section or legends bucket. Now you can see that a ribbon chart is created for all the products, but I want it to be only for those products which are the top 5 products by sales. So for that purpose, I will first of all click on this ribbon chart. I will open this expand this filters pane, and on this filters pane you can actually see that there are 3 types of filters. The very first being filters on this visual. Using this option you can apply filter on the selected visual, like for example in this case we'll be applying filter on this particular visual, that is the ribbon chart that you can see. Using the filters on this page section, you can apply filters on this particular selected page, and using filters on all pages option, you can apply filter to the entire report, and the report can consist of more than 1 pages, so the filter will be applied to all the pages if you will choose this option. But as of now, since I am interested in applying filter on this particular visual, so I'll use this filters on this visual option, right? And I want the products to be filtered by sales. So what I'll do, I'll simply drag this products field from the fields pane and will drop it here in add data fields here section, to this add data fields here section. And since I want top 5 products to be there, so I will select top n filtering, and I want to see top 5 products, so I'll write top 5. And by what value do we want these top 5 products to be there on the visual? So by sales we want top 5 products. So I'll just simply drag the sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in by value section, and I will simply click on apply filter. So this is the ribbon chart that we wanted to create. Now on this ribbon chart, as you can see that sales for different products is being shown. Month-wise sales is basically shown for different products, and we want that the particular sales figure contributed in each month should be visible on this chart. So for that purpose, I will select this particular chart, and then I will go there to this format your visual section, and then from here that I'll turn this data label to on, right? So now you can see that for each month the sales is also being represented for each product, right? For MacBook Pro laptop, for January, February, March and April it is shown, where this purple color represents March and your orange color represents January, dark blue represents February, and light blue represents April. So in a ribbon chart, you basically can see that for any given product, you can basically see different sections, right? Or different colors being present there in any given column for any given particular product, right? So this is basically based on the ranking and the month in which highest sales was present for any given product. It is present on the top, then the second one, then third one, then fourth, likewise, right? So it is actually based on rank, right? So very first rank will be given to the month in which highest sales is there. Like for example, if we'll consider the case of MacBook Pro laptop, then since in March it had highest sale, that is 56k dollar. So that's represented at the top. After that, in January month, we had, for MacBook Pro laptop, we had 46k dollar sales. So that's why it is represented just after the March months. It means it is at second rank. Similarly, April is at third rank, and your February month for MacBook Pro laptop is at fourth rank. So it is based on rank. Whenever we wish to represent the data, want to represent the data rank wise, we will prefer using a ribbon chart. And now let's say I want that this ribbon chart should have same format as that of this card visual. So I'll simply click here on this card visual, then I'll click on format painter, then I'll click here on this visual, that is the ribbon chart. Now let's say, now since this detail label size has increased, I want to reduce it, so you can simply reduce it from here. Since we copied the format, so the size increased. Let's say I want to keep it 9, or let's say I want to keep it 8. Fine. So it's not visible, so in that case we may increase the size. Right, now it is visible. Now all the figures are visible. Fine. That's the point. And there is one more thing that let's say, as I've already told it to you, that we will discuss about the top 5 and the bottom 5 product by sales and other similar visuals when we will be discussing about the insights to be represented on page number 3. But here we do not want to represent this particular thing here. So what I'll do is I will replace this chart, let's say, by a column chart, because I want to create a chart wherein I want to represent all the products by sales, right? Sorry, I want to represent the sales for all the products. Since I want to represent the sales for all the products, so I'll just simply, and I want to replace this chart. So what I'll do, I'll just simply click here on this ribbons chart, and then here in the visualizations pane, I will click on the stacked column chart, right? But since for this particular column chart, I don't want the values to be represented by month, so here from this legend section, I will remove this particular column or particular field, that is month name. Fine. So now the sales is being represented for top 5 products, because still that filter, top 5 filter, is applied on this particular visual. Now I don't want this filter to be there, so I will simply expand this filters pane and I'll remove this filter from here. So this will represent the data for all the products, the sales for all the products, right? But as you can see that the names of the products written along the horizontal axis are not perfectly visible. It is not in a readable form. So I will again click here on this column chart and I will replace this chart by a bar chart. So I will first of all select it, and then I'll simply click here on stacked bar chart in the visualizations pane. Now you can see that the names of the products are visible, right? Fine. So we can further change the size. It's okay. The names of the products are now visible, right, which were not visible before this. And since the names of the products are visible now, so this is one of the most important things that you should keep in mind while creating the charts, right? Because our main aim is to represent the information that we obtained or insights that we got from the data in a manner so that it is easily understandable and the user could easily read it, right? So it has to be in a readable form. So the chart has to be chosen accordingly. That's why we have chosen this bar chart. Now let's say for this bar chart, I want to make some changes or I want to format this visual. So what I'll do, I'll just simply select this particular bar chart. Let's say first of all, I want to change the color of the bars. So I'll select this particular bar chart I will click here on this format your visual option, and then here from this bar section I'll simply select this option, and let's say I want this color to be there, so I'll simply select this, and now you can see that the color is changed. Here you can see vertical grid lines being present in this bar chart. I want to remove these grid lines, so in this grid lines you can simply change it to off. So now these vertical grid lines are also gone. Let's say I want to change the title of this bar chart. So under this general, I can click on title and I can change the title from here. So here we are representing sales by product. So I'll write sales by product. Fine. And let's say I want to change the font style. So I can simply select, let's say Georgia. I want to increase the size, so I can increase it. And I want to keep it bold, so I'll click here on bold. Fine. Right. And if you want the text to be underlined, you can select underline as well. Now, now let's say I don't want the title along the X and Y axis to be present there. So we can remove the title from the X and Y axis. Simply click here, change it to off. So the title is now not present along the Y axis. Similarly, along the X axis also, let's say I don't want the title to be there, so I'll change it to off. Fine. Now I don't want the values to be displayed along the horizontal or X axis because already the detail labels are being represented. Here 184K is written, then 117K is written, 88K is written. So I don't want these values to be represented along the horizontal axis. So I'll just simply change this X axis to off. So these values are now gone from here, and the values which are represented along the y-axis, or the product names which are written along the y-axis, I want them to be in black color, and I want the font style to be Georgia. So I'll change it again from here. I'll make it bold. Let's say I want to increase the size, and I'm interested in changing the color, so I'll change the color as well. We can, let's say we want to reduce the size, so we can reduce the size as well, and we can keep it Georgia. Right. Now it looks comparatively better. Fine. Okay. Right. So in this manner, you can make use of this format your visual section under this visualizations pane to format your visual, right? And let's say for detail labels also, I want black color to be there. So I can change the color to black from here in this way. Fine. So I think that this chart displays information about all the products arranged in descending order, and it actually shows us the sales for different products arranged in descending order. So that's all for this session. I hope this session was helpful in explaining it to you that how can you create a ribbon chart, and we have also seen that how can we change a particular chart just by simply clicking on it and then selecting some other visual from the visualizations pane. So I just wanted to discuss all these things in session. We will meet in the next session, so we'll discuss about more visuals, and we'll discuss about more insights, and we will discuss about creating more pages. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Hi everyone. So in the previous session we have discussed about creating a ribbon chart, and then we created a bar chart as well. But here in this bar chart you can see that it's occupying more space, and I don't want it to occupy much space. So I want to reduce its size. Fine. So when I'll try to reduce its size, now you can see that the names are not clearly visible since the length of the names of the products are larger. So that's why these names are not clearly visible. I want it to be in a size wherein the names will also be clearly visible, the bars will also be clearly visible, actually all the insights will be properly shown, and it will occupy lesser space. I want that. So for that purpose, what I'll do is I'll just simply select this particular chart, and I'll click here on format your visual option. Then I will click on y-axis, and then we have something called maximum area width. So let's try to change its value. First of all, let's increase its size, and see by changing, let's see that by changing this maximum area width, what is the thing that changes. So now the names of all the products that as of now you can see on the screen are clearly visible. I'll select this chart, format your visual, y-axis, and I'll reduce this maximum area width. When I will reduce this maximum area width, now you can see that the names are now not clearly visible. So what I'll do is, let's increase this maximum area width and let's keep it the maximum. Let's make it 50%. And now I will try to reduce the size of this bar chart. Now when we are reducing the size, you can see that the names are clearly visible and the bars also properly show the insides, right? Let's say I want to keep the names inside the bar. So from here I can select data labels and I can change the position to inside end, or you can change the position to auto as well, right? So this looks better. Fine. And now this bar chart is not occupying much space and all the insights are properly being shown here through this bar chart. Let's say we want to switch axis position, then you can do that as well by changing it to on. So you can see that the bars are now present on the left hand side and the names are written on the right hand side. If you do not want to switch axis position, then simply change it to off. So the names will be written on the left hand side and bar will be shown on the right hand side. Bars will be shown on the right hand side. So that's all for this session. I hope this session was helpful. We'll meet in the next session. We'll discuss about more visuals and representing insights through those visuals. So till then, thank you. Bye-bye. So hello everyone. In this session we will talk about adding some more visuals to this page, to the first page. But before that, let's rename this bar chart that we have already created. So its name is the title given to this particular chart is sum of sales by product. So by default this was the name given to this chart. Let's say I want to change it and I want to rename it and make it sales by product. So here in title, double click, 1 second, and rename it as sales by product. Fine. Now let's say I want to represent sales by month. So for that purpose I will be using an area chart. So here in the visualizations pane, just simply click here on this area chart icon and this will create a blank area chart for you. I will resize it. Let's place it here. Okay. Fine. So for this area chart, I will first of all select this area chart, and from the fields pane, I will drag suitable fields and will put them in the suitable buckets in the visualizations pane. So along the x-axis, x-axis bucket, let's drag the month name field from the fields pane and drop it here in the x-axis bucket. And similarly, let's drag the sales field from the fields pane and drop it here in the y-axis bucket. So this now represents sales for various months. Now let's say I want to format this visual. So I will first of all select this visual and then I will click here on this format your visual option. And let's say I want to change this title to off for x-axis and y-axis, so that the title along the x and y-axis will not be visible, because I will give a name to this chart that will be self-explanatory and it will explain that what all are the insights being shown or represented by this chart. So this is not needed, so I'll change it to off. And same I'll do for y-axis, I'll change it to off. Now let's say for values represented along the x-axis, that is the month names, I want them to be in bold. I want the text to be in bold. I want it to be of black color. So I'll select this color from here. You can change the style as well. Let's keep it Georgia and let's increase the size to 10. Fine. So for this chart, I also want to remove the grid lines. Horizontal grid lines are present in this chart. So simply select this grid lines and change this horizontal to off. So the grid lines are gone now. And I want that data labels should also be displayed on this particular chart. So I will change this data label to on. Now since I have changed this data label to on, so I don't think that it is required to represent the sales values along the y-axis. So I will change this y-axis also to off, right, because it is not needed. And now let's say I want to change the color of this particular line or area that is being represented on this area chart. So I can change the color of the line here from this line section, and you can select this color and you can choose the color of your choice. Let's choose this color. Fine. So this looks comparatively better. Let's say I want to change the font style for the data labels as well. So just simply select this chart, then format your visual option, click here on data labels, values, and then from here you can change the style. Let's keep it Georgia. I want the text to be bold, size 10, and color black. Right, so now it looks comparatively better. And let's say for representing the sales value, I want markers as well on this area chart. So again, simply select the chart, click on format your visual, and then from here, this markers section, change this markers to on. Let's say I want to increase the size of the markers. So you can increase the size, let's say to 10. Fine, it looks comparatively better now. Okay. And let's say I want to add a shadow and border to this visual. So you just simply click on this chart, format your visual, general, effects, and then you can add a shadow and a border as well, right? Let's say I don't want the border, so you can remove the border, no problem. Effects, change it to off, right? And the position of the shadow is bottom right. I want it to be bottom right, as other charts are also having the similar formatting, so it will look better. Now I think it looks better, and we have added a chart that represents sales by month. But still there is one more change. I want to change the title. So again, I'll click on this chart, click here on format your visual, general, title, and change the title from here. I want to write sales by month. Sales by month. So this now represents the value of sales by month, right? Now let's say I want to add one more chart here on this page, and on that chart we want to represent the number of the orders by month. As we have represented sales by month, we also want to represent number of the orders by month, right? So we can use a separate chart for that. Let's say I want to add a column chart for that purpose. So first of all, I will click here anywhere on the empty space on my report design area or the canvas, and then I will select this stacked column chart. So it will create a blank column chart for us. But before that, let's select this area chart and change the font for the title, right? So we can change it. Simply click here on format your visual after selecting that chart title, right? We forgot to change it, so no problem. Let's keep it Georgia, bold, and let's make it underlined. Now it looks better. Fine. And now let's talk about the column chart. On the column chart, we wanted to represent the number of the orders by month. So first of all, I will select this empty column chart, and after selecting this empty column chart, I will simply drag suitable fields from the fields pane and will drop them in appropriate buckets. So let's say I want order ID to be here in the x-axis. So I'll simply drag and drop it here, and I want to represent the I want to represent the count of the order IDs, basically distinct count of the order IDs. So I will drag the order IDs from the fields pane and will drop it here in the y-axis. And since I want to represent its distinct count, so from here under this drop down, by using this drop down option, I will click here on count distinct. So this will give me nothing but the distinct count of the order IDs, because I want distinct orders for each month, right? And in our order ID column, various order IDs are there, order IDs are repeating also, but I want distinct order IDs because it will give me the total number of distinct orders placed in that month. And when we were discussing about that that data cleaning, I already told you that I want the data type of order ID column to be text data type. If you will use a numerical column here in its place, that will also solve the purpose, but I wanted it to be a text type, and I wanted it to represent different categories, so that's why I kept it text data type, right? So this represents nothing but the count of the order ID, and also I am not interested in performing any mathematical operation on the values contained in this column, as I already told it to you. That's why I kept it as text. Now let's say along the x-axis I want to represent the name of the months, so I'll simply drag the month's name field from the fields pane and we'll drop it here. So now this displays the value or the count of the orders by month. Let's increase its size. Right. Now it looks comparatively better. The names along the horizontal axis, the month names along the horizontal axis are now clearly and properly visible. So let's say I want this column chart to have same formatting as that of the bar chart that we have created. So I will simply click on this bar chart and I will click here on Format Painter and I'll simply click here on this column chart. So now this column chart is also having same formatting as that of the bar chart that we have. Now, but along the horizontal axis, you can see that the names are not properly written. So what I'll do, I'll just simply click here on this column chart and let's reduce the size of the names of the months written along the horizontal axis. So just simply select this column chart and click here on this format your visual option, x-axis, and let's reduce the size. Now it looks perfectly fine, right? And let's say I want to add I want to change the title as well, because the title by default it has taken the title and the title is count of order ID by month, but this represents the number of orders by month. So I will again click here on this chart, format your visual, general, title, and write number of orders by month. And let's say I want to change the color of the column chart as well, of the color of the columns. So I'll again select this chart, I'll click here on format your visual option, and under this column section you can change the color. So let's say I want the color to be, let's choose this color, right? So it looks comparatively better now, and this chart now represents the total number of orders by month, right? So you can see that in February we had highest number of orders, in March we had comparatively lower, in January comparatively lesser number of orders, and in April we had least number of orders, right? So that's the point. Now there was one more insight that we had to show. So we will be using a line chart for that purpose, and on that chart we will represent the number of orders placed by the time of the day. So for that purpose, I will be using a line chart. So I will simply first of all click here on the blank space on the canvas or the report design area. And after that, I will click here on this line chart, and this will create an empty line chart for us. Right? Let's resize this. Okay, and let's keep it here. Let's resize this. Fine. Perfect. Now for this line chart, I want the number of the orders to be represented by the time of the day. It will show us that in general at what time of day highest number of orders or least number of orders are being placed, right, as per the data given to us. So I will simply click on this chart and I will drag suitable fields from the fields pane, and will then drop them in appropriate and suitable buckets. So first of all, I've selected this line chart, and since I want to represent the number of the orders, so I'll simply drag this order ID. Okay, so here the data type of order ID column is a number, it's not a text data type. Let's say I want to make it text, so I'll simply go to the Power Query editor. Although that is not going to create any trouble here, but still fine. I want to keep it text. Apply changes. It may take some time, and let's go back to the report view. Fine. Right, so from here I'll drag this order ID column from the fields pane and will then drop it here in the y-axis bucket. And I want the distinct count to be shown, so I'll just simply click here on distinct count. And now along the x-axis, I will drag this times field from the fields pane and will simply drop it here in the x-axis. right? So this now shows that according to the different times, what were the number of the orders placed. And let's say I want this line chart to have same formatting as that of the area chart that we have created. So I will simply click here on this area chart, and I will click here on Format Painter, and then I'll again click here on this line chart. So now this line chart is having same formatting as that of the area chart, but I don't want markers to be shown here. So I will just simply click here on this chart. I will click on Format Your Visual option, and I'll change this markers to off, right? And let's say I don't want the data labels also to be shown. So I will change this data labels also to off. And let's say I'm interested in changing the stroke width of the line, so I can reduce that as well from here. Let's keep it 2. Fine. And now let's say I am interested in changing the color of the line that we have, so we can do that as well. From this line section, just simply click on color, and let's say I want this color to be there, so you can select this color. Right now I think it looks comparatively better. And let's say I want to remove the vertical grid lines which can be seen on this chart, so simply select this chart, click here on Format Your Visual option, grid lines, change the vertical grid lines to off. Fine. And the values are not being represented along the y-axis. Here in this chart, for this particular chart, I want the values to be represented along the y-axis, so I'll change this y-axis to on. And I want the values along y-axis to have same font style and size as that of the values along the horizontal axis. So I will simply change it here from values section under y-axis. So let's keep it Georgia, bold, black colored. Let's increase the size to 10. So I think it looks better now. Okay, let's resize it. Perfect. And let's say we want to change the title as well, so simply select this chart again, click here on Format Your Visual, General, Title, and this represents nothing but number of the orders by time of the day, so I can write number of orders by time. Right. So this chart shows you that between 12 to 15, generally more number of orders were placed, right? And generally between 3 to 6, lesser number of orders are placed for the data set that is given to you. So you can analyze all these sorts of things about the data that is given to you using the visuals and charts, right? So I hope this session was helpful in explaining it to you that how can you create an area chart, line chart, a column chart, and you can represent various visuals, right? So we'll meet in the next session, and till then, thank you. Bye-bye. Hello everyone. In this session, we will talk about creating a scatter chart, and it was one of the requirements in which we had to create a chart where we have to represent the relationship between the quantity and sales. So first of all, I will click here on this blank area on the canvas, and after that, I will click here on this scatter chart icon or scatter plot icon in the visualizations pane. So it will create an empty scatter plot for us. Now let's populate this scatter plot. So first of all, I'll click on this scatter plot, and since I want the relationship to be established between quantity ordered and sales columns, and both of them are numerical columns, that's why I have chosen this scatter plot, because whenever there is a need of representing the relationship between two numerical quantities like this, in that case you will use a scatter plot. It is recommended to use a scatter plot. So I'll simply drag this sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the x-axis bucket, or let's say y-axis bucket. And since I don't want the data to be summarized, so I'll just simply click on don't summarize. Similarly, I will drag this quantity ordered field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the x-axis. And since I don't want the data to be summarized, so I'll just simply click here on this drop down and will then click on don't summarize. Right. So now let's format this visual. So first of all, I'll click here on this chart, and once I've clicked on this chart, let's say I want to remove the vertical and horizontal grid lines. So just simply click here on Format Your Visual option, grid lines, change this horizontal grid line to off. Similarly, change this vertical grid line also to off. Now, let's say I want the titles along the X and Y axis not to be there. So I'll just click on X axis and I'll change this title to off. Same I'll do with the title along the Y axis and I'll change it to off. Let's say I want to change the title for this particular scatter plot. So I'll click on general, title, and I'll change the title from here. So quantity versus sales. And since the numbers represented along the y-axis or the vertical axis are having a dollar symbol before them, so it clearly represents that the sales is represented along the y-axis and your quantity is represented along the x-axis. Now let's say I want to change the font size and style for the values represented along the x and y axis and also for the title. So first of all, let's talk about the title. So for title, let's say I want to keep it Georgia. I want to keep it bold, underlined. Let's say I want to increase the size to 15, so I'll keep it 15. Fine. Now let's talk about x and y axis. So for x axis, this values, let's keep it Georgia, size 10, bold, color black. Similarly for y-axis, values, bold, black, 10, and let's choose this to be Georgia. Now when you will look at this particular chart, you can see that the values represented or the bubbles or the markers which are representing various values are very much closer to the x-axis. I want them to be a bit above the x-axis so that these points are clearly visible. So I'll simply click on this chart and let's choose y-axis, and in y-axis I will change the minimum value and let's keep it minus 500. Right, and let's keep the maximum value to 2000. Yes, so now all the points are clearly visible. So I think this will be fine. And I actually decided the minimum and maximum value because I have an idea of the minimum and maximum values in the sales column. If you want to have a look at that, let's go there to the Power Query editor. So I'll click on transform data. And where is the sales column? This is the sales column. And let's sort it in descending order. So you can see that the maximum value is $1,700 in this column, and let's say I want to see the minimum value, so I will sort it in ascending order. So the minimum value is $2.99. So that's why from here I've chosen those values. And I also saw this quantity ordered field. For this quantity ordered field, the minimum value is, okay, the minimum value is, let's sort it in ascending order. Minimum value is 1 and the maximum value is 7. Fine. So that's why I've decided the minimum and maximum value accordingly for both the axes. Now let's say I want to change the color of the markers on this chart. So I will click on this chart, and from this markers section you can change the color. Let's say I want to choose this color. Fine, so it looks better now. Right. And there is one more thing that I want to talk about. It's first of all, let's add a shadow to this chart. So select this chart, click on general, effects, shadow, change it to on. And since we want the position of the shadow to be bottom right, so that's fine. Now there is one more thing that I wanted to talk about. The thing is that the total number of the distinct orders that you can see on the screen is equal to 3,984, right? But the number of the markers or the bubbles that you can see in the scatter plot, there are only a fewer bubbles. So why is it so? So in order to get the answer to this question, let's go there to the Power Query editor. And let's select quantity ordered in sales column. So I'll press Control from keyboard and select this quantity ordered in sales column. Then under the transform tab, click on group by, and these two unique combinations of these two columns will be shown, and I want the count to be represented in the next column that will be added. So I'll simply click on OK. by performing the count operation. So here you can see that for quantity ordered one, when sales value is equal to $150, there are 316 such points. When the quantity ordered is 2 and sales ordered is 5.98, then in that case 109 such points are there. So it means that on the scatter plot these 109 points are coinciding. Similarly for 1 comma 150 point, 316 points are coinciding. Similarly for 1 comma 14.95 point, 443 bubbles or markers are coinciding. So that's why despite almost 4,000 orders being there, you are able to see only a fewer bubbles or markers on the scatter plot. That's the reason. Now I'll just simply delete this step where we have grouped the rows, and I will go there to the report view again. So I'll simply click on close and apply. Fine. Now here on this scatter plot, I want that count that we have seen, the count of the unique combinations of quantity ordered and sales values. I want it to be represented here on this scatter plot only when I will hover the mouse over any bubble or any marker on this particular scatter plot. So for that purpose I will use tooltip, and in the tooltip section, for going there to the tooltip section, first of all come back there to this report view, click on this chart scatter plot, and here you will find your tooltip. If here in this tooltip I will add the order ID, or basically the count of order ID, then it will solve my purpose. So I'll simply drag and drop it here, right? Again, its data type has been changed, so click here on this particular column. From report view also you can change the data type, so I will keep it text from here. So it will now be changed to a text, and when you will hover your mouse over any particular area, it will show you the count, right? For when the quantity ordered is 7 and sales is $20.93, there are two such order IDs or two such records. So it means 2 points are coinciding here, right? And here only 1 point is there. If I'll choose any other point, so 2 points are coinciding here, or 2 markers are coinciding here. At this particular point 44 bubbles or markers are coinciding, right? So this is how the data is being represented. Let's say I want to rename this third quantity that is represented on the tooltip by some other name, so I will rename it, no problem. Let's go there to this tooltip section, tooltip bucket, and here you can rename it as number of occurrences. Let's name it as number of occurrences. Fine. So now there is one more thing that we have to discuss. So for that purpose, let's go back to the Power Query editor again. Right. Although while cleaning and preparing the data, we discussed about so many data cleaning steps, but if there are some duplicates that exist, then we need to remove those duplicates as well, right? So if I will specifically talk about the order ID column, if there are duplicate values in the order ID column, that is not the issue. Why? Because in a given order ID, multiple products could have been ordered, right? For example, if I'll click here on this particular column order ID, then click on view tab, uncheck this box. Now again click on transform or home tab, and under this keep rows section, let's try to keep only those records where order ID is repeating or duplicate order ID is present. So when you'll click here on keep duplicates, it will show you only those records where order ID is repeating. And if I'll click on the view tab and click here on column profile, this shows me that there are 356 such records. We do not have any such problem with some of these records, but with some other records we have the problem because the entire record is repeating. So when the entire record is a duplicate record, we do not need those records. Order ID can repeat because in one order ID multiple products could have been ordered. That's not the problem. So first of all, uncheck this box, and let's say I want to choose some given order ID. Let's say, just in order to show it to you, let's select this order ID and this order ID and click on OK. So here it shows that for order ID 141290, 2 products were ordered. That is, you can see this fourth record and first record, right? And both of them are different products. In the first record, AA batteries were ordered, and in the fourth record, Apple AirPods were ordered, right? Similarly, if you look at record 2 and 3, then different products were ordered, although the order ID is same. So that's not the problem. We want these type of records. But there are records where entire record is repeating, so we do not want those records. How to identify those records? So here you can see this icon. Just simply click here on this icon and select keep duplicates. So now here you can see the records where entire record is same. So entire record same means the data is being duplicated, which is of no use to us. So we will have to remove these records. So let's say I want to select a particular order ID. Click here, click on OK. So you can see for order ID 142071, AA batteries 4-pack, AA batteries 4-pack, quantity ordered 1, sales same, price each same, date same, time same, and customer address same, region and month name also same. Everything is same. So we do not want these records. So we will have to remove these records. So first of all, I'll delete this step. I've just filtered in order to show it to you. So I'll just delete this step. I'll delete this step as well from the applied steps. And then I will simply just click here and I will click on remove duplicates. So it will remove all such records where entire record is repeating. So now when you will just click on the column profile and you will click on the column profiling based on entire data set, you can see that we are left with only 4,161 records, right? So before this we were having 4,168 records, so 7 records reduced. So fine, that's it. And because we don't want duplicate records to be there, right? So that is the point. Now let's click here on column profiling again. Let's go back to the report view. So I'll just simply click on close and apply. Fine. So now here you can see that the total number of the records are being shown to you as 3,900. These are basically distinct number of records. So distinct number of records didn't change. Only the duplicate records were removed because it will affect our analysis and that is not needed. And here also when you will hover your mouse over any such point, you can see that the total number of the occurrences for the point 4,15.36 is 5. It means this 4,15,36 occurred 5 times in our data set. So I hope this was clear, and how can you plot and create the scatter plot, this was clear to you through this particular video. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. So hello everyone. In this session we will be adding some more pages to the report, and first of all let's rename this first page as let's name it as requirements. On the second page I will be creating a map visual, so I'm naming it as map visual. Similarly, on the third page, since I already told you that we have to represent top 5 and bottom 5 products by sales, top and bottom 5 products by price each, etc. So on this page we will do top 5 bottom 5 analysis. So I'll write top slash bottom 5 analysis, and I will add one more page to this particular report where you will see the details of all the products ordered in a given particular order ID. So I will name this as product details. Fine. So this is the first page, and first of all on this page let's change the format for font and values for font for the values and font for the title as well, for slicer header for this particular slicer. So I will simply select the slicer and expand the visualizations pane, format your visual, then we have slicer header. So let's keep it Georgia. Let's increase the size to 15. Let's keep it bold and black. Similarly, let's change it for values. Click on values, bold. Let's keep it 12 only, color black, and style Georgia. Fine, so now it looks better. Perfect. Now let's go there to second page, or the page on which we will be creating our map visual. So first of all I will select this map from the visualizations pane by clicking on the map visual icon. Simply click on it and let's increase its size. Right. So I will simply drag this region or cities column from the fields pane and will drop it here in location bucket. Fine. So this shows you the locations, various locations through these bubbles or these markers. Let's say I want to add a shadow to this particular visual. So I'll simply click on this visual, then click here on format your visual, general, effects, and shadow. So that's how you can add a shadow to the particular visual. Let's increase its size a bit. Fine. Let's say I want to change the font style and size for the title. So I'll simply click here on format your visual, general, title, and name is fine. So we have no problem. Let's increase the size, let's say to 30. Let's change the font style. Let's keep it Georgia, black, underlined. Now it looks better. Now let's select this visual option, map setting. Let's change this show labels to off. Now I think it looks better. And let's say we want to see the data labels as well. We want the name of the area or the city or the region to be shown. For that purpose, I will simply click here on. I'll change this category label to on. And let's say I want to increase the size of this font, so we can do that as well. Let's change the font style and let's keep it Georgia, bold, and let's keep it white. Looks better. And the background is black. You can change the transparency if you wish to. Right. Now it looks comparatively better, I think. And let's say we want to change the size of the bubble. So you can change the size of the bubble as well. And you can change the color as well. Say I want to choose this color. Right. So in this manner, you can change the color and the size as well. And let's say I want the visuals which are represented on the first page, that is on the requirements page, I want them to be filtered by city. So what I'll do, I'll go back to the previous page, that is requirements page, and here there is something called add drill through fields here in the visualizations pane. So I will drag this region field from the fields pane and will drop it here in the add drill through fields here section, to this section. Now when I will go back to page 2 or map visual page, and let's say I click on any particular city, let's say I click on Atlanta, you have to right click on it, and then it will show you the option to drill through, and then from here you can drill through to page 1 or the requirements page. So when you will click here, it will take you to the requirements page, and now this entire first page is filtered according to the city selected. And now here you can see a small back button that will take you back to the previous page. So you can just simply click on click on control from the keyboard and press this button, control button, and click. So it will take you back to the map visual page. It will bring you back to the original page from the target page. Right. So this is how you can add a drill through filter. And now you can filter the data on the first page according to the cities, and this map actually represents the cities from where the customers belong to, the addresses from where the customers placed the address. And let's say I want the size of these bubbles to increase as per the sales, right, the total sales. So you can just simply select this particular chart, and after selecting this map visual, there is something called bubble size. There is a bucket called bubble size. I will simply drag the sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in bubble size bucket. So now you can see for Los Angeles, the size is larger comparatively. Fine. And for San Francisco, the size is still larger because more sales happened in San Francisco. More orders were there from San Francisco as compared to other regions, right? Let's say I want to change the title now again because sum of sales is written. So I want to write here sales by region. So I'll just simply click here on general title and change the title. So it now shows sales by region. Let's say I want the alignment to be changed for the text. Simply click here. So now it looks perfectly fine. It looks better than before. And let's say I'm also interested in adding a zoom button to this chart. So you can just simply click here on this visual, click on format your visual, and then under the map setting, right here under this control section, you will find zoom button option. Simply click on it. So when you will click here on these buttons, it will zoom in and zoom out. Hello everyone. In this session, we will talk about adding page number 3 and page number 4 to this particular report that we have created. We have already added 2 pages. In the first page, we have these requirements page, and we have created some certain visuals. Then we have map visual on the second page. Then on the third page, we are going to do the top 5, bottom 5 analysis. So we will basically add 6 bar charts here that will represent various insights. So first of all, let's represent top 5 products by sales. So what I'll do, I'll just simply expand this visualizations pane and I'll click here on this stack bar chart. So it will create a blank bar chart for us, as you can see on the screen. Let's resize it. And now I will drag suitable fields from the fields pane and will simply drop it here in the in fields bucket, right? So suitable buckets. So what I'll do, I'll just simply drag the products field from the fields pane and will drop it here in, let's say, y-axis bucket. And similarly, I will drag the sales field from the fields pane and will drop it here in x-axis bucket. Right, so it shows the products, sales by products, right? But the point is that we want those products which are having highest sales, five such products we want. So for that purpose, I will expand this filters pane, and having this particular chart selected, I will, using this filters on visual option, under this filters on this visual, we will use this add data fields here box, and to this box we will add this product field. And since we want top n filter to be there, so I will select top n, and here I will write 5 because I want top 5 products to be there. And by which value? By sales, we want top 5 products by sales. So I will simply drag and drop this field and put it here, and I'll click on apply filter. So now you can see that the products, 5 products which were having highest sales, are now being shown through this particular visual. Now let's say I want this visual to have same formatting as that of the bar chart on the first page or on the requirements page. So I'll click on this bar chart, then I will click here on this format painter option, top 5 bottom analysis page, click here on this bar chart. So now it is having same formatting as that of the bar chart on the first page. Now since we have represented those products which were having highest sales, now let's talk about representing those products which were having 5 such products which are having least amount of sales. So I'll just simply click here on this chart, Control C, Control V, will simply move it here on the right hand side. Let's resize these charts. Fine. Okay. First of all, let's change the name or the title of the first chart. So I'll select the first chart, click here on format your visual, general, and title. We have top 5 products by sales. Fine. And here on this chart, we want to represent bottom 5 product by sales. So I will select the second chart and I will expand this filters pane. And from here in this drop down, simply in place of top 5, I will select bottom 5. And I will click on apply filter. Right. So this shows you all those products, 5 products which were having least amount of sales or least sales. So now I will change the name of this particular chart as well. So I'll select the second chart, will click on format your visual option, and here in the title I can simply write bottom 5 products by sales. Fine. And let's say I want to change the color of the bars in the bottom five product sales by chart. So I'll select this chart. I'll click here on format your visual option, and in the bar section, you can simply change the color from here. Let's say I want to choose this color. This looks fine now. Now I want to create one more chart where we want to represent the top five products by price each, having highest price, or you can say that we want to show the top five costliest products. So I'll simply click here on this chart, Control C, Control V, and I'll move it here. And since we want top five products having highest cost or price, so I will remove this sum of sales or sales field from this x-axis bucket, and I'll bring this price each field from the fields pane to this x-axis bucket. And here I don't want to consider the price, I'm interested in considering the average, so I'll click on average. And having this particular chart selected, I will expand the filters pane, and here also I want the top five filters to be applied on the products, but I want it to be applied by price each column, by price each field. So I'll drag this price each field from the fields pane and will drop it here in by value section. And here, since I want to consider the average, so I'll select average here and I'll click on apply filter. So now this chart shows appropriate value, right? Similarly, I want to represent bottom five product by price each. First of all, let's change the name of this chart or the title here. So I'll just simply select this chart, click on format your visual, general, title, top five product, not by sales but by price each, or simply by price. Fine. Similarly, I want to show bottom five products by price, so Control C, Control V. Let's move this chart here. Right. I'll increase its size. Fine. And here I want to represent bottom five products, so I will click here on drop down. In place of bottom five, I will set top five. I'll select bottom five, and I'll simply click here on apply filter. So now this shows those products which are having least price each, right? This price is in dollar, by the way, so it represents nothing but the price of all these products in dollars. Fine. Okay, select dollar here. That's okay. Fine. For price each column also, we want dollar symbol to appear here, so I'll simply click here on this price each column and I'll change the category for this too. Price each, column tools, format, currency, and dollar. Let's increase it. Now it's fine. And let's change the name of this chart and the color of the bars as well. So I will click on the chart just above it, click on format painter, and then again click here on this chart. So now it is having the same color as that of the chart above it, and I want to change the title as well. So I'll click here on this chart, then click on format your visual, general, title, just simply write bottom five products. Similarly, we want to represent those top five products which had highest number of orders, and we want to represent those products which had lowest number of orders. So I'll just simply click here on this chart, Control C, Control V. I'll move it here. Fine. I'll expand the filters pane, and having this chart selected, let's remove this. Fine. First of all, from this x-axis bucket, I want the number of the orders to be there, so I'll just simply remove this average of each price or price each column from here, and I'll bring this order ID column from the fields pane to this x-axis bucket. And since I want the count of the order IDs to be there, so that is simply represented, but I want to represent those products which had the highest number of orders. So here I will open it, expand this particular filter, and here I want it to be, I want the top 5 products to be by the number of the orders received. So simply drag and drop it here, not the first order but the count of the orders, and apply filter. Fine. So this shows that USB-C charging cable had the highest number of orders, lightning charging cable lower, and so on. Fine. So top 5 products by number of the orders received are shown. Let's say I want to change the title, so I'll simply click here on this chart, general, title, top 5 products by number of orders. Number of orders. Fine. Similarly, I want to show those products, bottom 5 products, by the number of the orders. So I'll simply click here on this chart, Control C, Control V, and I'll move it here. Let's keep it here. I'll increase the size, and I want the color to be changed. So I'll click on the chart just above it, Format Painter, and click here on this chart. Now the color is changed. And since I want bottom 5 products to be represented on this chart, so I will expand the filters pane, and I will, in this drop down, I will change it from top 5 to bottom 5, and I will simply click on apply filter. So this shows you the products which had least number of orders, right? Bottom 5 products basically which had least number of products. So now I want to change the title, so I'll simply click here on this chart, format your visual, general, title, and simply write bottom 5. Fine. So I think it looks better now, and as per our requirement we had to represent all these insights through a suitable visual or chart. So we have represented these insights using a bar chart. Now let's go there to the 4th page, as there was one such requirement wherein we wanted to display all the details about the products ordered in any given order ID. So for that purpose, I will simply use a table visual. So I will click here on this table visual, and this will create a blank table for us. Fine. Let's expand this, and I want to add a shadow, but we'll do it later. So let's say I want all the details about the product to be displayed here. So I'll simply drag this product field from the fields pane and we'll drop it here in column bucket. Similarly, let's drag this price each field and drop it here. I don't want the sum to be there. I don't want it to be summarized basically, so it should not be summarized. We can have sales as well. Again, we don't want it to be summarized, so I'll click on don't summarize, and let's say we want the order date as well, so we can get that date as well. Let's say we want the city from which it was ordered or where the order had to be placed. Let's put that also here, and let's say I want quantity order also to be there, not the sum, but I don't want to summarize it. Similarly, let's say I want the order ID should also be there. Fine. Yes, it should not be summarized, and by the way, order ID is a textual column, right? You can change the style of this particular table as well. So I'll just simply click here on this table, format your visual, style present. You can choose a different style. Let's say I want to choose this style, alternating rows, or maybe flashy rows. This looks better. And let's say we want to change the column headers, the font of the column headers, or the values contained, so we can do that as well. So we'll just simply click here on column headers, and let's say we want to keep it bold. Let's select Georgia. Let's increase the size. Fine. Let's reduce it. It's okay. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Let's say we want to change the font for values as well. Let's keep it bold. Let's increase the size. Fine. and I want the text color to be black, so that's perfectly fine. Let's say I want horizontal grid lines to be there, so I'll simply change it to on. The color of the grid line, you can decide the color of the grid line. Let's keep it black. Okay, horizontal grid line, and you can similarly have vertical grid lines as well. Let's say I want to keep it black. Yeah, that's fine. You can keep it white also, but let's keep it black only. And let's say I want to add a shadow to this, shadow and border both to this particular table visual. So I'll click here on this table visual, and then I'll click here on this format your visual option, general, effects, turn this, change this to on. Similarly, change this shadow also to on. Let's say I want to change the position of the shadow. So here I can keep it center, right? And we want a visual border, so we have already added it. That's fine. Right. And now since I want that the order details should be visible according to the order ID, so what I'll do here in this drill through fields here section on this particular page, I will add order ID. So I will drag this order ID from the fields pane and will drop it here. Now let's go back to the requirements page. That is the first page. And there was a requirement given to you that according to some given selected order ID, we should get all the details of the products which were ordered as a part of that order ID. So I will select any given particular order ID from here. Let's have selected this particular order ID. I'll right click on it, and it will show you an option to drill through to product details page. That is the fourth page. So from here, when you will click here on product details page, it will give you the details of the product which were ordered as a part of this particular order ID. Fine. So quantity ordered 1, region Atlanta, day 5. I mean, it is showing you the date in this way, like 5th January and 2019. Quarter is also being shown to you. Sales amount is shown to you. Price of the quantity is shown to you. Product name is written. I think we should reduce the size of the values section. So I'll select this table, and here in values, I will reduce the size. So let's keep it 8, or let's keep it 9. Fine. Now here on this page, you can see that this filter was applied, right? Because it was filtered according to the ID selected on page 1. So you can further, now let's say I want to go back to page 1. So here you can see a small back button has been automatically added. So just press control and click, control click, and it will take you back to the first page. Fine, that's it. So this is the back button that was added when we considered this first page as a target page for map visual page. So you can reduce its size, no problem. You can change the size, no problem. Fine, it looks comparatively better now. Right, so I hope that whatever visuals we have created and the analysis that we have done, I hope you understood each and everything. And in the last video, one more session will be there. In that video, we will see how can we analyze the data, and all our requirements were fulfilled by the dashboard, by the reports, basically report that we have created. This is a report and it consists of 4 pages. We have not created a dashboard as of now because it could be created on Power BI service. So we will be discussing about all those things. We will actually talk about the entire workflow in the upcoming projects as well. So in this project, my major aim was to tell you that how can you use various visuals and what is a report, and how can you fulfill different client requirements, and what all visuals are the visuals that you can use to represent various insights. We will discuss about DAX expressions as well, creating measures and different types of DAX measures in the upcoming sessions. So we'll meet in the next session and in the upcoming sessions wherein we'll be talking about other projects as well. So till then, thank you. Bye-bye. Hey everyone. So in this session, we will see if all our requirements are being fulfilled by the report that we have created. So let's open the PowerPoint presentation where we had all those requirement points. So in the very first point, it is said that we should represent top and bottom 5 products by sales. In fact, the first point, and then we have 8th point and 9th point. We also had to represent top bottom 5 products by cost, and we had to represent 5 most and least ordered products. So I will simply open third page on the report that we have created. The name of the page is top bottom 5 analysis, And here you can see 6 charts are present. On the very first chart, you can see top 5 products by sales. And on the right hand side, you can see bottom 5 products by sales. Similarly, we have top 5 products by price, bottom 5 products by price. Then we have top 5 products by number of the orders, the or products that received or had highest number of orders. Similarly, the products that had least number of orders or that received least number of orders. So these 3 requirements are basically being fulfilled by the report that we created. Now let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and here we had to represent sales by region. So let's go there to the second page of our report, and here we have created a map visual. The name of this page is map visual, and through this map visual we have tried to show the sales by region. So when you will hover your mouse over any bubble, it will show you according to the city. It will show you the name of the region, and it will show you the total sales as well. And the name of the total sales that is shown to here in the tooltip. This is because when I'll click on this particular chart, and you can see that here in the bubble size bucket, I renamed this particular field. Before this it was having some other name, sum of sales. It was named as sum of sales, so I just changed it to total sales. So when you will hover your mouse over any of the bubbles, it will show you the name of the city. Along with it, it will show you the total sales as well. And different cities are represented by different bubble sizes, because the one with the higher sales have the bubble with higher radius or larger size. Now since we used a drill through filter as well, so when you will right click on any selected city or the bubble representing any city, it will give you the option to drill through to page 1, which will basically take you to the requirements page. And here on this requirements page, you can see this entire page is actually filtered according to the city that has been selected, and the city selected is, or region is, Los Angeles. And this is because we have provided a drill through filter. So because of that, this page is filtered, and from that particular page you can come here to this page by making use of drill through filter, and you can view the sales by month, you can view sales by product, you can view number of the orders by month, total number of the orders, total sales, etc. All these things can be seen here. In fact, only those order IDs will be available here which belong to the region selected in the slicer. Now this requirement was also fulfilled, so I will just clear this filter. Fine, and let's go back to the map visual or the second page. And if you had to come back to this page, then once you have drilled through to page 1 or to the requirements page, you can simply use this back button provided at the top. So just simply press Control from the keyboard and click, and it will take you back to the previous page. That is this page where you got the option to drill through to next page. So this requirement is also being fulfilled by one of the pages that we created in our reports. Now let's talk about the third requirement. So this was that all details should be visible, or all details should be seen for a given particular order or given particular order ID, or all the products ordered in a given particular ID should be represented. So let's go back to the report, and let's go back to the first page. Now here a slicer or a visual filter is provided for order ID. When you will select any particular order ID, let's clear the filter first of all. Right, when you will select any particular order ID and you will right click on that order, so it will give you an option to drill through to product details page. That is nothing but the fourth page, and on this page all the details about the products which were ordered as a part of this particular order ID will be shown. So it shows you that as a part of the order ID 141269, this particular gaming monitor was ordered, this was its price, this was the sales, this was the year in which it was ordered, date, quarter, month, region, and the quantity ordered. Now I want to go back to the first page. Again, I'll use this back button, press Control from keyboard and click. It will take you back to the first page. Let's say there is some other order ID that I want to select. So you can select any other order ID. Let's say I want to select this order ID. Click on it, drill through to page product details, and this will show you the detail that a Google phone was ordered. $600 was the price. It was ordered on 15th January, first quarter. The address of the customer where it had to be delivered was from the city San Francisco, and the quantity ordered was 1. Now since I want to go back to the first page or requirements page, I'll simply press control from the keyboard and click, and it will take you back to the first page. So this requirement is also being fulfilled by the report that we created. Now let's talk about the fourth requirement, that is the number of the orders by the time of the day, right? So let's go back to the report. So here you can see this line chart is created, and this line chart gives you an idea of the number of the orders by the time of the day. So this requirement is also being fulfilled. I want to talk about one more thing. Let's go back to the map visual, and when you will drill through to page 1, you can see that these bubbles are very much close to the y-axis, so it's not clearly visible. So we discussed in one of the previous videos about the minimum and maximum values of the quantity, right? So we will use it here. So I will first of all click on this scatter plot so that all the insights shown should be clearly visible, and it should be in a readable form. That's why I'm changing it. So just click here on format your visual, and for this x-axis change the minimum value. Since the minimum value for quantity was 1, so I'll change here, I'll write -1, so that all values, in order to make sure that all values are clearly visible. And since the maximum value for quantity was 7, so I'll write the maximum value here as 8. Now I think whenever you will filter, all the values will be clearly visible. Fine. Let's remove this. Fine. Remove this filter that we have on this page. Fine. So we have cleared the filter, now it's fine. Now let's talk about other requirements. So we had to represent number of orders by date. I think this requirement is not being fulfilled, so we need to add a date slicer or visual filter for date here on this page. So let's resize this bar chart. It's fine. Let's bring this area chart below this area, and here in this blank space I will create a date slicer. So I want that date slicer or the visual filter to have same formatting as that of this order ID slicer. So I'll click here on the slicer, Control C, Control V, and I will bring it here. Double click and move it here. Fine. Change its size, click on it, and from this field bucket remove this order ID, and here I want date to be there. Order date should be here, so I will simply drag this date field from the fields pane and will simply drop it here in the fields bucket. And for this particular date slicer, I want the format to be, the style to be between, so that I can choose between any two given dates, and all the number of the orders and the details about those orders, sales for those orders will be visible according to the selected dates. Let's say I want between 31st January to, I want all the details between 31st January to 18th March. So I can select it in this manner. It will tell you about the total number of the orders, total sales, about the sales by month, the products which were ordered, number of the orders by time, quantity versus sales, and all of the details will be visible to you on this page according to the dates that you will select. Fine. So let's clear this filter. Fine. So this requirement is also now being fulfilled. And on the sixth number, we had to show or represent sales by month. So here sales by month is shown on this area chart. You can see for various months in the descending order, the sales is being represented. Fine. Similarly, let's talk about the next requirement. So we had to represent number of orders by month, seventh requirement. So this is also being fulfilled by this column chart. You can see in the descending order, the number of the orders by different months is shown to you in this column chart. And next we had to show the relationship between sales and quantity ordered. So using this scatter plot, we have represented the relationship between the sales and the quantity ordered. So I think that's all for this particular session. You can select any particular bubble and all the details for that particular quantity and sales and corresponding values will be shown to you on this chart, on this particular page of the report, sorry. So that's all for this session. I think all our requirements are being fulfilled by the report that we have created. So this is a 4 pages report. We have requirements on the first page, then we have map visual on the second page, then we have top bottom 5 analysis on the third page, and then we have product details on the fourth page. Fine. So here also I can clear selection. right? So that's the point. So I hope this project uh, that we have created, it will add some value to your resume. You can add this project to your resume, and it was helpful in explaining many important concepts to you, and how actually we can create the charts, and then how can we format those visuals to create a report to tell compelling story. So thanks, and we'll meet in the next session. We will discuss about the second project. So till then, thank you. Bye bye.